in New Jersey. Am I right? Yeah.
Live feed on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It seems to run on some form of electricity.
Well, you're not wrong.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together.
Now, here's your host.
He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone.
Josh Hennig.
Yes, I am Josh Hennig, broadcasting live from Margate Fun Fest here on 97.3 ESPN FM, streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios. It is a beautiful day out here in Margate. Don't let the doomsday sayers, those idiots who do the weather on television or wherever. I gotta be honest, does anybody actually watch the weather on television anymore? I certainly don't. I have an app on my phone, but wherever you're getting your weather, if you thought today was going to be a complicated day, you weren't paying attention, because it's a beautiful day out here. Margate Fun Fest, over 110 vendors up and down Amherst Avenue. We're right here on the bay, here in Margate, hanging with Hennig, live on location for another week on 97.3 ESPN. As always, we are streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studio. Before we get into the Phillies game from last night, along with the latest around the NFL and the Eagles, I do want to mention, coming up on the show, we have Gina Torretta, the 1992 Heisman Trophy winner, coming up in about 25 minutes from now. Also, Andy McNamara, Fantasy Football Insider, every single Saturday at 1:25 a.m. We're going to go down to Tampa. Jenna Laine has covered the Bucs for 15 years. She knows this team in and out. We will get insight from her about the state of the Bucs, because I think one of the storylines going into this game is going to be the injuries, the health. There is something to be said for this game that the Bucs are more injured than the Eagles are. And that's going to be one of the keys, I believe, for the game. Don't forget, text board is open, 609-403-0973. And, of course, we are live on YouTube and X. Just follow at Josh Hennig at 973 ESPN. We'll get to the Phillies in a minute. But I do want to hit on the Eagles, because I would be remiss if I didn't follow up something I wrote about at 973ESPN.com, which is I wrote about how the Buccaneers are going to be without not one, but two of their starting offensive linemen. And they're going to be without Mike Evans. And for all of the conversation, for all of the chatter, we'll call it, all the conversation out there about the Eagles and their 1-4 record against Tampa. And I grant you, that's a very, very valid record. It's a very valid point to make, that the Eagles have that record. But I do not want to ignore the reality as well that in many of those games, the Eagles were shorthanded. And if you were listening to TJ Reeves, who's the Bucs sideline reporter, yesterday on the Sports Batch with Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN, I know TJ brought up multiple times in their conversation, you got to win the games that you have. Well, guess what? That sounds all well and good if you're a fan. But we're objective analysts here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. We got to put the fandom aside. And the fandom aside says that in 3 of those 5 games, A.J. Brown did not play. Is it a coincidence that the Eagles are 0-3 without A.J. Brown versus the Bucs? I don't think so. And I do understand that big picture, Todd Bowles has had an answer for Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, and the Eagles offense. But in many of those games, you did not have your best receiver. In 2 of those games, you didn't have your starting right tackle. And we know the Eagles have a losing record when Lane Johnson is not on the field. So I don't want to ignore the fact that history tells us that the Philadelphia Eagles are a team that has lost a lot of games when they're injured. What a concept, right? You lose when you're without your best players. What a weird concept. Who would have thought, right? So now you're going into this game tomorrow. Mel Reese, Mike Quick calling all the action here at your home for Eagles football in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN, 12 o'clock, following the locker room with Billy Schwein here on 97.3 ESPN. When the game is on tomorrow, you're going to hear Merrill and Mike Quick talk about a game where the Buccaneers are the more injured team. you're going to hear them analyze, hey, this is a Eagles team that is actually healthier than the Bucs. And I'm not ignoring the Nolan Smith injury, okay? I'm not ignoring that at all. I'm not dismissing that. I'm not putting that out of mind. But what I am doing is I am saying, on the grand scale, how important is Nolan Smith to this team? Think about that for a minute. Is losing Nolan Smith more or less important than other players? I would argue it's actually not the end of the world because of the fact that you have Zadarius Smith, you have Josh Uche, and you have arguably one of the best defensive coordinators in all of football. Since Vic Fangio took over, the Eagles are allowing 9 points per game in the second half of games under Vic Fangio. Think about that. Vic Fangio has now coached 25 games as the DC for the Philadelphia Eagles. In the second half of those games, the Eagles' defense is allowing 9 points a game. That is a huge discrepancy. That is a huge hat tip and credit to an organization like the Eagles to say, we are so good at making in-game adjustments. So, does Nolan Smith have a negative impact in this game? Maybe. But do I have the faith and confidence in Vic Fangio to make those adjustments? I totally do. So now, that's why I look at the Bucs and I say their injuries are much more significant. We'll get to the text board in just a bit at 609-403-0973. Josh Hennig broadcasting live from Margate Fun Fest here on 97.3 ESPN. 609-403-0973 is the text board. So what are these Buccaneers injuries I keep yapping about? Mike Evans, arguably one of the best players in that franchise history. He is out for this game. Two of their offensive linemen, starting offensive linemen, are out for this game. And let's be realistic. Most people don't know who Luke Gadecki is, but that is actually one of the more underrated O-linemen in all of football. So you're talking about two players who are stalwarts on an offensive line, and now you have a Bucs quarterback who is questionable with a right biceps injury. And the last time I checked, Baker Mayfield throws right-handed. All the pieces are lining up for this to be an inverse of last year. Last year, you went to Tampa, you were the injured team. No Lane Johnson, no Devonta Smith, no A.J. Brown. Now you're going to Tampa, and they're without their best receiver. They're without two offensive linemen, and their quarterback is banged up. So that 1-4 record that the Eagles have under Nick Sirianni against the Bucs, and much that has to do with the injuries that you have sustained, and that will change this time around because of the injuries that they have sustained. And before we get to the text board at 609-403-0973, Josh Hennig hanging out with you at Margate Fun Fest on Amherst Avenue down here in Margate on a beautiful day out here with over 110 vendors. Come on down, hang out, enjoy the beautiful day out here. I got to tell you guys, the other part of this game that's interesting to me is we have been very, very, well, at least I have been very critical of Kevin Patullo, the offensive coordinator. And you saw in the game last week the in-game adjustment, right? And this will lead us into the Phillies conversation in just a minute. Sometimes through the process of a game, you got to make changes. You got to make adjustments. You got to be the team that says, you know what? That's not working. We got to do something else. And just like when the Phillies entered this season, the Eagles in the middle of this season, they're having to make adjustments. They're having to make changes. So I think that is all part of this conversation. It is all part of the big picture. And the big picture for the Eagles is you have a team that, let's be realistic, they are trying to contend for a championship. And when you're trying to contend for a championship, you got to win by any means necessary. And I know that a lot of people are worried about the aesthetics of a game like this. They're worried about the optics. But I thought a comment that Derek Brooks made on Unsportsmanlike, as heard here on 97.3 ESPN about the Eagles, when he was asked about, you know, Drew Brees made that dumb comment this week about how he hates the Eagles offense, how it's boring and it's ugly. But Derek Brooks, I thought he made a great point because Brooks, who, remember, that Buccaneers team was right at the doorstep numerous years and they couldn't get over the finish line. And when they finally did, it was with a quarterback who ran a boring offense. This is Derek Brooks yesterday morning on Unsportsmanlike, heard Monday through Friday, 6 to 10 a.m. here on 97.3 ESPN.
You can entertain and score 50 points and lose. You know, we just wanted one touchdown and a field goal, and that would have got us a win. So I'm not buying into boring. This is not about entertainment. This is about winning. And I look at our defense. We were boring, too. Everybody knew what front we was going to be in. Hey, Warren, Derek, they're going to be on the same side. They're going to be over and they're going to be under. And 90% of the time, they're going to be in cover 2. Beat us. So it's all about it's about execution and getting the job done and winning games.
And I think that is the bigger part here. I've had this argument with Billy Schwein the last couple of weeks here on 97.3 ESPN Sundays in the locker room, which is I don't care about the aesthetic. I just want to win. Winning is all that matters. Okay, and I know for some people, like Evan in Little Lake Harbor texting in at 609-403-0973, I know for guys like Evan, they look at it as, oh, well, you know, they're not winning in a certain style. Evan from Little Lake Harbor says, just like last week, the Eagles will win this game, but they will not deserve it, says Evan. They will win by a fluke, whether it's a blocked field goal, a last-minute safety, or a penalty. They will beat the Bucs because of a fluke. The 2025 Eagles are the new version of the 2024 Chiefs. Well, the problem, Evan, in Little Lake Harbor, is that you are looking at this from the wrong perspective. You're saying, oh, they're just like the 2024 Kansas City Chiefs. The last time I checked, that Chiefs team got to the Super Bowl 3 straight years, the Chiefs did. So comparing the Eagles to a team that was on the precipice of a dynasty, I don't understand how that makes you a fluke. That means you're just doing whatever it takes to win. Evan, to me, it sounds like you care more about aesthetics than you do winning. Derek Brooks said you can score 50 points and still lose a game. By the way, I remember that a few years ago. There was that Rams-Chiefs game where it was back and forth, and guess what happened? The Rams lost. They scored 45 points in the game. It was ridiculous. You say they don't deserve it. And I would say, Evan, that you don't appreciate winning football. I think you're trying to find a negative where there needs to be a positive. Comparing them to the 2024 Chiefs is actually a positive. What you're saying is that the Eagles are on the verge of being a dynasty. And if you're on the verge of being a dynasty, how is that a negative? I don't see it as a negative at all. I see that as, guess what? You're winning close games. You have resilience. You have heart. You have guts. I would rather the Eagles win every game with resilience than lose a bunch of games and average 40 points a game. It's as simple as that. Listen, I'm a huge college football nerd. We'll talk with Gino Torretta coming up in about 10 minutes from now here on 97.3 ESPN. And Gino can tell you, just because you're the team that scores a lot of points doesn't mean anything. You know, Gino is going to be on the call for the Ole Miss versus LSU game today for Touchdown Radio. And part of the thing with that game is Ole Miss is on their second quarterback this year. While Simmons might have been the higher potential quarterback, you have a quarterback now in Trinidad Chambliss who is from D2, who is now playing for Ole Miss, and he is running the offense better. Now, are they averaging as many points per game? Not necessarily, but are they winning games? And listen, Gino's a former quarterback. He'll tell you, at the end of the day, if you're a quarterback who cares about winning, you don't worry about the stats. 609-403-0973. Steven Bender chimes in and says, Josh, on first down and short yardage situations, the Eagles should insert Jalen Carter at the defensive right end, insert Moro Jomo into the interior. I think between Mike Evans being banged up and Baker being not good, the Bucs will try to run the ball. It's a very interesting idea. I'm not saying they won't do that, but it is an idea that I think is very fair by Steven Bender. You know, Steve, he's a guy who's got a very active mind. He's always thinking, right? But I will give Steve from Bender credit for that, because there might be a scenario where Vic Fangio does have to get a little creative with the front, right? There is a scenario where you do have to look at the Philadelphia Eagles and say, maybe you don't just have Carter and Davis as the primary interior guys. Maybe you get a little experimental and say, look, I know we are lacking depth on the outside. How do we stop Bucky Irving? How do we slow down the running game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? And listen, Carter is arguably one of the best defensive linemen in all of football. So I'm not going to short sell the idea that if you're the Eagles, you want to prepare for a scenario where you are looking around and saying, you know what? We got to put our best players on the field. And in this game, with an injured Bucs offensive line, your best roster, your best team, your best lineup might just be a team that has Carter, Ajomo, and Davis all out there to overwhelm the Bucs offensive line, discourage them from running the ball, and then put you in a position to force them to pass. With Chris Godwin, I mean, this guy's even played in a year. He had the ankle injury last October. This is his first game back. Do we really think that he's going to be 100%? No, Mike Evans. He's arguably one of the best players in Buccaneers history, at least the best offensive player. So when you're talking about the Bucs, you're missing one of your best players. One of your other good players is just coming back from an injury, and that leaves Emeka Mbuka. And he's an amazing receiver from Ohio State, the rookie. But is there a scenario where we say, you look at Quinyon Mitchell and say, you're going to follow Mbuka all game long. Whoever else is out there, we'll deal with Godwin. We're not going to let them beat us over the top. Remember, that's what Fangio's scheme's about. Do not give up big plays. Do not get beat deep. Do not let the explosives take you out of the game. And I think that's where, Steven Ventnor, your text is very valid, because you're saying, how do we force the Bucs offense into a situation where now they're on the ropes instead of you being on the ropes? And maybe that's the bigger key when it comes to a game for the Eagles. Maybe the key for the Eagles in 2025 is less about Saquon Barkley and it's more about playing chess. Last year, it was all about Saquon carrying this team. This year, I think it's about the defense. This defense has carried this team the first 2 weeks of the season. So if you're the Philadelphia Eagles, why not lean on them a little bit more? Why not look at the Eagles and say, you know what? Jalen and the offense, just follow the defense's lead. Be a little like Brad Johnson. Be a little like a game manager. Be a quarterback who doesn't lose you games. Now, I'm not saying don't be aggressive. I'm not saying don't push the issue. But what I'm saying is there might be a scenario where you tell the defense it's your job to save us. It's not the other way around. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on 97.3 ESPN, broadcasting live from Margate for Funfest. Over 110 vendors here. It's a beautiful day out here. If you're in the area, come on down, check it out. They got all kinds of great opportunities for you to check out. So many great local vendors. And, of course, it's just a beautiful day to be at the shore, right? I mean, come on. Why wouldn't you want to come down here? It's a nice, cool breeze coming off the bay. It's a perfect day to be out and about here in Margate. Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN, as always, is being brought to you by yesterday's Creekside Tavern on Roosevelt Boulevard in Marmora. It is your place this football season to catch every game at the best sports bar in South Jersey. The sound is on for every Eagles game, as well as the biggest college football games, and the Phillies Red October run. Don't forget about yesterday's nightly food special starting at 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday, along with reverse happy hour specials 9 to close each week. Plus, yesterday's has the TVs with the games on at the indoor bar as well as the back deck, and also the yard at night. And don't forget their live music schedule every single weekend. Yesterday's Creekside Tavern in Marmora is the place to be this football season, so call your friends and catch all the games at the Y. Coming up on the other side, speaking of college football, Jenna Torretta, 1992 Heisman Trophy winner, will join me, Josh Hennig, hanging out with you on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City, and streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studio.
This is South Jersey's official home for Philadelphia Eagles football. Tomorrow, the Birds head down to Tampa to take on the Buccaneers in Week 4.
1st and 10 Bucs up across the 40. Mayfield back, dancing around. He is sacked back at the 30.
Pre-game coverage begins at noon. Merrill and Mike call all the action starting at 1 p.m. This is where the Super Bowl champs play. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's official Eagles station.
This football season, catch every game at the best sports bar in South Jersey. Yesterday's Creekside Tavern on Roosevelt Boulevard in Marmora features every Eagles game with the sound on, along with every NFL primetime matchup, as well as the biggest college football games every weekend. Don't miss out on yesterday's nightly food specials starting at 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday, along with reverse happy hour specials 9 p.m. to close each week. Plus, yesterday's Creekside Tavern in Marmora has all the Phillies games with the sound on the TVs for all of September and the can't-miss action of Red October. Yesterday's Creekside Tavern in Marmora is the place to be this football season. So call your friends and catch all the games at the Y.
For 23 years, we've helped athletes at all levels at Klemic Performance Method, from youth to pros, increase maximum velocity, acceleration, vertical leaps, and general physical preparedness. We offer youth, high school, and pro college classes. Our proven results have earned national recognition from NFL coaches, sponsors, and a feature on ESPN Radio's Sports Science segment. You can contact me directly at 609-742-6190, or as always, visit us on our website, KlemicPerformanceMethod.com.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales.
Get to Bennett Chevrolet's Red Hot Clear the Lot Inventory Blowout and get your new vehicle at the true GM supplier employee price. Plus, at Bennett, you keep all the rebates, saving you up to 20%. Yes, savings up to 20%. What other dealer will give you an offer like this? Nobody. That's who. Get to Bennett now and save more with available 0% financing. How does Bennett do it? Come check us out. And if you're looking for used, Bennett will give you a minimum $10,000 off. Yes, you'll get at least $10,000 off for your leaky, rusted-out junk. What do you think Bennett pays for good trades? Come on, get here now during our Red Hot Clear the Lot blowout. It only happens once a year, so get here while selection is best. Plus, there's never any pressure with our non-commissioned sales staff. Paid on your satisfaction. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Change is always happening. It's part of life. And when it comes to music, change is all around us. Songs are rewritten. Classics are remixed. Bands and artists come and go. Even our taste in music changes. Here at Xfinity, we know there's still good in keeping some things the same. That's why we want to do our part with a 5-year price guarantee on our internet. It means no matter what changes, you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best equipment included for a price that stays exactly the same. Surprised? Life is full of them. One internet price, 5 years, guaranteed. Learn more at xfinity.com/deals. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Warm up this fall with an incredible seafood boil. Try the Uncle George with succulent snow crabs, tasty mussels, and shrimp. There's the Pete's Feast with 2 pounds of sweet succulent crab legs, a dozen shrimp, clams, and a pound of mussels. Or create your own boil. Add a lobster tail or a delicious Dungeness cluster. Include smoked sausage, corn, and potatoes, served in our tasty broth, made with white wine and our signature seasonings. A shellfish lover's dream at Chickies and Pete's. Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's, the official sports bar of your world champion Philadelphia Eagles. Go where the players go. Come join us all season for Eagles pep rallies, watch parties, and the best in-game experience anywhere. Ice cold draft beer, world famous food, and fan-friendly fun for every Eagles game. Every Monday night in South Philly, the Jordan Mailata Show, presented by Miller Lite, followed by Chicky and Pete's Players Lounge with a current player, hosted by Ike Reese and Hugh Douglas. Go where the players go. Chickies and Pete's.
Transforming your land with a John Deere compact tractor is as easy as connect, latch, load, haul, spread. Cutting grass is as simple as roll, click, mow. Box blading is as effortless as hook, lock, grade. And backhoeing is as convenient as turn around, switch, dig. Because when you've got the versatility to tackle just about any job and dealer support in your own backyard, you just have to get in the seat. Find the right compact tractor for you at johndeere.com.
This October, Scream returns. Join actor David Arquette for Behind the Scream, a live conversation at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City on Friday, October 10th. Hear behind-the-scenes stories from the legendary Scream franchise. Ask your burning questions and get up close with the man behind the mask. Tickets are on sale now at theoceanac.com. Don't miss your chance to go behind the Scream.
Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
I thought I was invincible.
Just a couple times turned into I lost count and gained an addiction.
I went from being ashamed to being optimistic for what comes next.
All it took was a call for help.
Letting people in let me finally start healing.
Addiction might be part of the story, but it doesn't have to be the end.
Call 844-REACH-NJ for 24/7 judgment-free addiction support or go to reachnj.gov.
A message from New Jersey Human Services.
Now back to Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Josh Hennig back here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Of course, we are streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios. College football, another great weekend of games. Of course, some of the games you can hear this weekend on 97.3 ESPN include the one that my next guest will be on the call for, LSU versus Ole Miss. Gino, the 1992 Heisman Trophy winner, joins me right now on 97.3 ESPN. Gino, welcome back. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Josh. How you doing?
I'm doing good, and it's a crazy slate of college football this weekend. And I would be remiss if before we get into the nitty-gritty of LSU Ole Miss, Gino, we are now a few weeks into the season, and I think if you would have told people that the state of the SEC, that the teams that were the top contenders, that list involved LSU and Ole Miss and Alabama and Georgia and Tennessee, but the name that we're not mentioning is Texas, I think a lot of people will be a little bit surprised. What is your take overall on the SEC right now?
Well, I think how the schedule worked out, I think that's who we're talking about now. But, you got some schedules here that, Ole Miss for one, they've already beaten Arkansas. Now they got to play LSU. Then they got to go to Georgia. Florida, there's some people down here. Obviously, there's not a lot of Florida fans in Miami that, Florida might not win but a couple more games. So I think this is kind of just one of those years where maybe Texas has had that one big road test and didn't pass against Ohio State. But I think that now we're going to start to see, and what I would say probably happened a lot of times in the Pac-12 in the past, was the cannibalization of the conference. Basically, they beat each other up, and it's nobody's got an easy road. You look at Vanderbilt, which was sometimes an off week if you're the best team in the SEC. That's no longer an off week. There are no easy outs in the Southeastern Conference, and it's going to be interesting to see where the dust settles, because I think there's a chance there may be a three-loss team that sneaks into the playoffs from the Southeastern Conference.
Well, let's zero in on the game that you're on before we get to some other games, because I think this is one of the more fascinating games of the weekend, and it starts with Ole Miss, because the last time you and I talked, Gino, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about, they got this young quarterback, Austin Simmons, but then all of a sudden, here comes Trinidad Chambliss from D2. He's now at the big level, and he looks like he is the man for the job. Gino, you play the quarterback position. Tell the folks what you have seen so far from Trinidad Chambliss.
Well, he's been outstanding. He scored over 50 touchdowns last year at Ferris State. He didn't get to Oxford, I believe, until August, so he got there for 2 days. I don't know how Lane Kiffin seemed to scour the earth for what was a backup, really, for Austin Simmons. And he's gone out there, and I would say he's played as well, if not better, than Simmons in 2 starts. I mean, he was named the starter, at least to us. They didn't tell us broadcasting the Arkansas game until about an hour or two before the game that Chambliss was going to be the starter. Simmons' ankle was too bad, and so he goes out there. He can run. He's a great athlete. I didn't see any weakness in him throwing the ball. He was accurate with the ball. He was timing, so he timed it up well. He was impressive, and he's thrown 4 touchdowns. He hasn't been sacked at all. I really, based on what I saw injury-wise from Simmons and how he wasn't able to move that well at all, it looked like at least a month-long injury, to the leg. And I'm not so sure if Chambliss keeps getting better that Simmons is going to get his job back when he comes back and can play full speed.
And we know Lane Kiffin, he gets very particular about who his quarterback, what his offense is. So this will be something very interesting to watch. On the other side of the field of this game, Garrett Nussmeier, a guy who has been considered a draft prospect, Gino. What have you seen from him so far this season?
Well, he's very experienced. He's been dinged up. You know, he had an oblique injury last year and apparently re-aggravated that in summer workouts. He has not been as good as he has been in his career. And you know, prior to this, their offense is just kind of missing a beat, if you will. He hasn't had any massive games so far this season. It's kind of, but their offense runs through him. He needs to start playing better. Hopefully he gets healthier. I don't know how you get healthier playing without rehabbing, but hopefully he continues to get better and rehabs and start playing. But I would say his play is maybe a notch down from where it was in midseason last year, but he's very capable, has talent around him. Durham's a stud, you know, for the running back, and you know, LSU's always got some outstanding wide receivers. I will say, having watched a little bit of them, there was some drops out there, and you know, that is not like LSU receivers to have some just key drops in this game. But Nussmeier's got some experience. He's done it all. He's gone on the road. He's won a lot of games, and you know, hopefully he's 100% or as close to it this weekend.
We're talking with 1992 Heisman Trophy winner and national champion at the University of Miami, Gino Torretta, joining us here on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, the Touchdown Radio Game of the Week will be LSU at Ole Miss, and then Gino, the game following that game in the evening that folks can hear on the radio on 97.3 ESPN, because when you're done with LSU Ole Miss, people will flip it over to another big matchup, Oregon, Penn State, another interesting matchup of quarterbacks. Drew Aller at Penn State, he's got a lot of conversation, but we don't want to overlook the quarterback at Oregon. Talk to me about Oregon's quarterback, Brown.
Well, he's stepped in. You look at the last few years with Oregon, with Nix, with Gabriel steps in after Nix. He plays well. Oregon's loaded. And Dan Lanning, I think, is one of the best coaches in college football. He seemed to navigate the NIL transfer portal world better, or if not, you know, better, if not the best in college football. And you know, this is going to be a big test, though. Of all the stadiums that I played in, Penn State's one of the loudest. As long as the weather's, you know, decent and people aren't covered up in snow gloves and things like that. So it's going to be deafening. You know, Penn State is loaded with experience, including Aller, the quarterback. You got Singleton in the backfield. This is a true heavyweight bout. I'm excited to see it.
You just mentioned the environment at Penn State. You know, I heard somebody joke this week about, you know, how many extra points do we add on to Penn State for the whiteout game versus other games? But from what I understand, Gino, that Penn State crowd, whether it's a 12 o'clock, a 3:30, or a 7:30, that crowd is ramped and ready to go, right?
Let's see, 7:30. They'll probably be out there about 7 in the morning, getting ready to go. I can remember doing the Ohio State game there a couple of years ago, and I went out and saw some friends of friends, and I mean, it's misting and raining, and like the wives are out there tailgating. I'm just like, my wife would be nowhere near a tailgate in the rain, but man, Penn State, they come strong. And like I said, I think when you can play and people are bundled up for winter, the crowd gets fired up. The stadium is what I call an erector set. I mean, it's just like the old Orange Bowl used to be. It's like Florida State Stadium. It's just a bunch of metal, and it just reverberates the noise down on the field. And, you know, the whiteout, God, I can remember we played there, and the students would throw marshmallows onto the field. And they're, you know, the other fans like, oh, that's kind of cute. Well, the students, what I found out, because I had some teammates in the NFL or Penn State guys, the students would open bags of marshmallows and they would leave them open until the marshmallows got rock hard. And then they would put pennies or nickels in the middle of a big marshmallow. Well, then it had a little weight in it, and they could zing them out of the crowd, and they didn't feel too good when they were hitting your helmet and things like that. So, they know how to do it right in Penn State. But listen, the product and the team on the field warrants that kind of support right now, and it'll be interesting to see because they got on the doorstep last year, and they thought they had it, just kind of didn't make enough plays against Notre Dame down here in the Orange Bowl playoff game. So, I'm curious to see how Aller's going to rebound because this is, these are two of the best teams, no questions, if and or but. I don't care who wins or loses. I think both these teams are going to be in the playoffs at the end of the year.
Yeah, I'm also very curious to see an Oregon team that played okay at Northwestern. How do they respond playing at Penn State, a completely different environment?
It was an 8 a.m. kick for them. I mean, they're having pregame meal at 5 in the morning. They're all body clock time. I mean, Oregon's in the Big Ten. I mean, does anything more need to be said than that?
Right.
I mean, absolutely ridiculous.
It is pretty ridiculous. I miss the good old days of Pac-12 after dark, but that's just me.
Hey, I'm gonna have you go do your show at 5 in the morning. You're gonna be like, yeah, but you know what? That probably wasn't my best effort.
Probably not. Although I used to do a morning show years ago, but that was also like 12, 15 years ago. So I mean, now you're drawing on something you haven't done in over a decade.
Right.
Gino, a couple more for you before I let you go. I got to ask you, as you mentioned about the Orange Bowl, you were on the call last week for Touchdown Radio. Miami versus Florida, always a wild rivalry game. What are your takeaways of Miami after that game? A game that really came down, that Miami didn't really have control of the game until the final 2 minutes.
Well, it was, I think they had control of the game. They just didn't put any gas or pedal to the metal on offense. I mean, Florida had 25 yards of offense in the first half and 1 first down, yet they were only down 10-0. As a Miami fan and a former player, I would have liked the game to have been over in the first half based on how well the defense was playing. Miami's defense is salty. Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor, the other end, are just, I would say, borderline unblockable. Heatherman, the new defensive coordinator, has been aggressive. He seems to have guys on the perimeter that can play man coverage when he blitzes. They've kept, we did a Notre Dame game. We did the Florida game. He seems to do a nice job keeping the opposing quarterback off balance. I do know this, that Beck was off on Saturday night because there was open players. He was tentative. He seemed kind of nervous. And they have some things to fix offensively with the bye week this week and Florida State next week. But I would say defensively they're hitting on all cylinders, but offensively they need to play better, especially before they go up to Tallahassee next week.
You just mentioned the team I was going to ask you before I let you go, because as you said, Miami's preparing for the Florida State Seminoles. Florida State is playing on a Friday night game this week. Talk to the audience, because you mentioned about how for Oregon, they're on a completely different time clock when it comes to that game at Northwestern. Well, what is it like for a player to usually be playing on Saturday, but not have to play on Friday instead of Saturday?
It's not too bad when you're playing at home, but when you have to go on the road like Florida State does, it's not good. You're in a short week. First off is, you play Saturday. You got to rehab and do all your injury stuff on Sunday. And, listen, your body's not 100% the day after, a few days after you play a full game. So you're kind of in the middle of rehabbing, getting yourself right. You're getting your body right after your game on Saturday. Yet on Monday, you're essentially in a Wednesday practice. You have to have all your stuff installed. You have to be ready to go, what your audibles are offensively. Then you got to work 2-minute drill, and then you lose another day of preparation with travel. I mean, they're going to be flying to Virginia on Thursday. So you have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and really Sunday's a rehab. I think they have to have a day off based on the rules in college football. It's just, the short weeks are fine on home games. But the short weeks when you have to travel, I mean, trust me, I don't gamble, but I watch this stuff, and when you guys have short weeks and they're on the road, they do not play as well as with a full week of preparation.
He is 1992 Heisman Trophy winner Gino Torretta, and he will be on the call today. LSU, Ole Miss. You'll hear the game on our sister station, Rock 104.1, and then Penn State versus Oregon is tonight on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage for LSU versus Ole Miss begins at 3:30 on Rock 104.1 and the Rock 104.1 mobile app. Penn State, Oregon can be heard on 97.3 ESPN FM and streaming live on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Gino Torretta on the Touchdown Radio Network all season long, and he joined us here with me, Josh Hennig. Gino, always appreciate the time. Enjoy the call today.
Sounds good, Josh.
Josh Hennig back here at Margate Fun Fest here on 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget that Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 being brought to you by the Caesars Sportsbook. It's the only sportsbook app with Caesars rewards. Bet on gridiron action, earn perks on every game like hotel stays, bonus bets, game tickets, and more. Download the app using promo code Radio20X and place your first bet of $1 or more for a chance to double your winnings on your next 20 bets. Open new users in New Jersey who are 21 or older. Max bet at $25 for boosted winnings. Max additional winnings $2,500 per bet. Profit boost tokens expire 14 days after receipt. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Speaking of college football, we'll check in on the latest around college football, the scores, as we did the Football Friday show every night on YouTube next at Josh Hennig. We are live Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and also on YouTube and X. Just subscribe to at Josh Hennig, like, subscribe, share with your friends. Still to come, we have still Andy McNamara at 125 for our fantasy football conversation, plus Jenna, Laine, the Bucs reporter for ESPN NFL Nation. She will join us coming up at 2:25. And also, we have your text to get to, 609-403-0973. And yes, I will get into the Phillies rotation. It's the conversation that Nick Earnshaw cares about the most. We will get to that coming up as well on the show. To Nola or not to Nola, we'll get to that still as well. Josh Hennig hanging out with you live from Margate Fun Fest. It is a beautiful day out here. Come on down, check out all the great vendors here, and of course enjoy a beautiful day at the Jersey Shore. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on 97.3 ESPN.
This Saturday at 3:30 Eastern, the 4th-ranked LSU Tigers storm into Oxford to battle the 13th-ranked Ole Miss Rebels in a top 15 showdown. Touchdown Radio brings you every snap with Brett Dolan and 1992 Heisman Trophy winner Gino Torretta. LSU versus Ole Miss this Saturday at 3:30 Eastern.
It's College Football Saturday on South Jersey's classic rock station, Rock 104.1.
College Football Saturday, brought to you by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Get ready to level up your game day at Tropicana Atlantic City. Introducing Gridiron Pit, powered by Caesars Sportsbook, a high-energy fan zone where blackjack meets big screens, bold bites, and big wins. Play your hand, catch every snap, indulge in tailgate-inspired food and drinks, and spin the big wheel of prizes every Saturday and Sunday throughout football season. Gridiron Pit, where the thrill of the game meets the rush of the table. Located near the cashier cage. Learn more at Caesars.com. Must be 21 or older. Know when to stop before you start. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
School's back and the savings are bigger than ever at Matt Black Kia's Back to Savings sales event with 0 down, 0% APR, and no payments for 90 days. That's right, 0% APR for 48 months on every clearly marked Kia with 0 down and no payments for 90 days. Stuck in a loan or lease? Matt Black Kia wants to get you released. If you have a job clearing $450 a week, we want to get you approved today. And with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy, consider your hall pass, no questions asked, only at mattblackkia.com. Because when it comes to savings, it's got to be a Matt Black Kia. Call 215-703-8526 for details.
Introducing the new Dell AI PC, powered by the Intel Core Ultra processor. It helps do your busy work for you, so you can fast forward through editing images, designing presentations, generating code, debugging code, summarizing meeting notes, finding files, managing a schedule, and responding to Jim's long emails. leaving all the time in the world for the things you actually want to do. No offense, Jim. Get a new Dell AI PC at dell.com/AI-PC. How those ahead stay ahead.
Is your home game day ready? Don't get sidelined this season with a heating or cooling breakdown. With a Jenkins service contract, you'll get reliable coverage, priority scheduling, and peace of mind all season long. For over 76 years, local homeowners have trusted Jenkins to keep their comfort system in winning form. Stay ahead of the competition. Lock in your service contract now and score big savings. Call 609-641-6262 or visit jenkinsandsons.com today and make sure your home is always ready for kickoff.
Nothing goes better together with championship football and playoff baseball than the Piccalilli Inn. For game time, skip the lame chains and order the Piccalilli Inn's world-famous wings for eat-in or carry-out in 6 packs to go. Get your chicken wing fix on Route 206 in Chemung, New Jersey. Visit Piccalilli.com.
The John Deere Gator XUV lets you cut, pack, drive, scout, weld, stack, feed, pull, load, tow, spray, and haul, all in a single day. Because with the highest cargo box volume in its class, customizable features, and a towing capacity of up to 4,000 pounds, it gets the job done. You just have to get in the seat. Learn more at your John Deere dealer or visit johndeere.com/GatorXUV.
Whether you're outside for work or just outside for fun, you need apparel and accessories that can keep up. At the Hub, you'll find it all. Lightweight shirts, cooling tees, shorts, hats, and boots, in sizes for men and women, including regular, big, and tall. The Hub has the brands you know and trust. Carhartt, Dickies, Timberland Pro, Wolverine, Wigwam, Levi's, and that's just the start. Need gear for the job site? They've got you covered. Looking for something comfortable for the weekend or the beach? They have that too. Stay cool with moisture-wicking fabrics, breathable button-ups, and lightweight work jackets for early mornings. The Hub is your summer destination for clothing that works as hard as you do. From rain gear to sun hats, steel-toe boots to casual sandals, they carry it all. Find the right fit, the right style, and the right price every time you shop.
I thought I was invincible.
Just a couple times turned into I lost count and gained an addiction.
I went from being ashamed to being optimistic for what comes next.
All it took was a call for help.
Letting people in let me finally start healing.
Addiction might be part of the story, but it doesn't have to be the end.
Call 844-REACH-NJ for 24/7 judgment-free addiction support or go to reachnj.gov.
A message from New Jersey Human Services.
With GMF financing to qualify buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales.
Get to Bennett Chevrolet's Red Hot Clear the Lot Inventory Blowout and get your new vehicle at the true GM supplier employee price. Plus, at Bennett, you keep all the rebates, saving you up to 20%. Yes, savings up to 20%. What other dealer will give you an offer like this? Nobody. That's who. Get to Bennett now and save more with available 0% financing. How does Bennett do it? Come check us out. And if you're looking for used, Bennett will give you a minimum $10,000 off. Yes, you'll get at least $10,000 off for your leaky, rusted out junk. What do you think Bennett pays for good trades? Come on, get here now during our Red Hot Clear the Lot blowout. It only happens once a year, so get here while selection is best. Plus, there's never any pressure with our non-commissioned sales staff. Paid on your satisfaction. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Caesars Sportsbook app is the only sportsbook app with Caesars rewards. Bet on gridiron action and earn perks on every game like hotel stays, bonus bets, game tickets, and more. Download the app using promo code RADIO20X and place your first bet of $1 or more for a chance to double your winnings on your next 20 bets. Open to new users in New Jersey who are 21 or older. Max bet at $25 for boosted winnings. Max additional winnings $2,500 per bet. Profit boost tokens expire 14 days after receipt. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
You're hanging with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
Hey, you know what? There's another name you might know me by. Star-Lord.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Who? Star-Lord, man. The legendary outlaw.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Josh Hennig back here at Margate Fun Fest on Amherst Avenue in Margate. We're right here on the bay hanging out with you. The crowds are building. I feel like I'm a traffic guy who used to do like traffic for weather on the 8s, But we got tons of people out here. It's a beautiful day here in Margate with over 110 vendors here at Margate Fun Fest. Hope you guys have a chance to come down here and check out the great vendors all out here. I'm over here next to the Cat Country tent here at the 97.3 ESPN table. Of course, we'll get back to text board in just a bit at 609-403-0973. And, of course, we are live on YouTube and X, the Dr. Squatch Virtual Studios. By the way, during the break, I just checked one of our picks from last night. I need USC to pick up the pace. I need Lincoln Riley to wake up, maybe drink some caffeine, maybe grab an energy drink, because the Trojans have only scored 7 points so far today. I need a little bit more scoring from the USC Trojans right now. So that's the latest in the college football scoreboard. We'll keep you updated throughout the day. Don't forget, coming up on 97.3 ESPN, following me, you will hear Ohio State versus Washington, followed by the big game, Penn State versus Oregon. You hear all the games here on 97.3 ESPN and streaming live on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. If you want to hear the Ole Miss versus LSU game, flip over to our sister station, Rock 104.1, and the Rock 104.1 mobile apps, where you could hear that game later today on 97 on Rock 104.1, where Gino Torretta which I think actually is a bigger game than Ohio State Washington. I think actually the LSU Ole Miss game is a much bigger game, but I promise I get into the Phillies conversation here. I know it's the conversation Nick Earnshaw cares about. He don't even care about football right now. He's more concerned about the Phillies after Aaron Nola's big start last night, and I'm not going to ignore that. I'm going to acknowledge that Aaron Nola had a big game last night. I just saw a piece of paper fly by me here in Margate. I was like, is that me? No, it's not me.
It's telling you to care about Aaron Nola there, Josh.
The piece of paper?
Yeah.
Oh, get out of here.
It's showing you all the stats, his stat line from last night. It's going right by it, saying, look at his stat line, 8 innings. He almost threw 6 innings of perfect baseball last night.
All right, I'm going to have to stop you, okay? Relax, okay? Let me get into this, okay? Because here's the deal. Last night was arguably the best start you've seen from Nola in a couple years, all right? Not just this year, a couple of years. I don't know if that translates to the postseason or not. I don't know. I don't know if a Friday night start in a City Connect uniform at home versus the Twins is going to translate into NLCS Game 4 at Los Angeles. I can't promise you that. What I can promise you is I think the Phillies wanted Aaron Nola to have that start, because now they can put him on the postseason roster and nobody can say negative about it. Now we're at a point where the Phillies get what they wanted. What they wanted is Nola on the postseason roster. And it's not just because he's making a stupid amount of money, okay? It's because of the fact for this organization to lose Zach Wheeler the way they did. And we don't even know if Zach Wheeler's going to be around for the postseason, okay? We have no idea if Wheeler is even going to be in the ballpark, in a suite, even anywhere nearby. The value of Nola right now is he's a veteran. You need a guy like that on the team to have conversations behind the scenes. You need a guy like that, even if he doesn't go out there and start in the NLDS, which I don't think he will. I think the Phillies will just go with the 3 lefties. I personally think they'll probably go something like Sanchez, Suarez, Luzardo, and then maybe they'll ask Walker Buehler to piggyback off of Luzardo, okay? But in the NLCS, and if they get to the World Series, I think that's where Nola comes into play. And as you get there, I think that they're not going to ask Nola to go 8 innings like he did last night, unless he has like a no-hitter going or something. I think the plan for Nola is if you're playing a team, let's say it's the Dodgers or the Padres or the Brewers, I think the idea would be he's the veteran. He can start the road game. I think that's what the working theory is going to be. And I think for the Phillies, having Walker Buehler here, having Taijuan Walker, those guys are going to be in the bullpen to piggyback off. Now, I will say something, though, I think it's very important to bring up. I don't want to ignore something that is the reality of the Phillies pitching situation. While Nola has never pitched out of the bullpen, Walker Buehler's only done it once in the postseason. So these people who are acting like Walker Buehler's got all this experience pitching out of the bullpen, he's done it once. Guess what? I drove a Nissan Frontier truck that was stick shift once. Doesn't make me an expert at driving a 6-gear stick shift Nissan truck from 1992, okay? I had to drive it for the water park when I was doing maintenance over there back in 2005. If you put me in the truck now, I could probably figure it out, but it doesn't make me an expert. We can't act like Walker Buehler, because he did something once, means that forever he's going to be able to do it. I have no idea how good he can be in a bullpen role. What I do know is that Walker Buehler showed you this week that he has the chutzpah and the resilience to get through a tough outing. Remember, Walker Buehler the other day allowed 0 runs in his start. So he showed you that he has the mental and physical ability to overcome. And I think that's where the interesting thing is. Buehler is a guy who is going to go out there and fight for every pitch, every inning. He has got that bulldog in him. I'm not going to say he's Oral Hershiser, okay? But he's kind of got that little vibe to him. And maybe in my mind I equate them because Buehler and Hershiser both won World Series championships with the Dodgers. But that's kind of how I view the guy. He's a guy who's going to go out there, he's going to compete, he's going to fight, he's going to be someone who goes out there and just does a great job. And so for me and my money, I look at a guy like Walker Buehler, and I like him a little more than Nola personally, but I understand with the Phillies, with Nola is probably more comfortable as a starter. I think Buehler is more comfortable doing whatever it takes to win, and I think that's where the difference is. Hanging with Hennig, hanging out with you in Margate Fun Fest. Hour 1 is done. Hour 2 coming up here on 97.3 ESPN, 97.3 ESPN, mobile app powered by First Bank to see how. And we are streaming live on YouTube and X at Josh Hennig in the Dr. Swatch virtual studio. Don't forget, more football and Eagles talk next on 97.3 ESPN.
Caesars Sportsbook app is the only sportsbook app with Caesars rewards. Bet on gridiron action and earn perks on every game like hotel stays, bonus bets, game tickets, and more. Download the app using promo code RADIO20X and place your first bet of $1 or more for a chance to double your winnings on your next 20 bets. Open to new users in New Jersey who are 21 or older. Max bet at $25 for boosted winnings. Max additional winnings $2,500 per bet. Profit boost tokens expire 14 days after receipt. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Disagreements happen every day, but they don't have to turn into full-blown arguments. Psychologists say the key is active listening, really paying attention to the other person instead of planning a comeback. Repeating back what the other person says or reframing the problem can actually reduce tension. And try using I statements, such as, I feel frustrated when, rather than, you always fill in the blank. If emotions start to rise, take a pause and come back to the conversation later once things cool down. The goal isn't to win, it's to understand. Practicing these techniques can help keep arguments from spiraling and preserve the relationships that matter most. I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update.
It's the ACUA's Recycled Art Contest. Create art from recyclable or trash materials and drop it off at participating Atlantic County libraries by October 31st. Winners awarded at ACUA's America Recycles Day celebration in November. Visit acua.com/art contest.
Looking to lower your energy bills and boost home comfort? South Jersey Gas has you covered with a no-cost in-home, whole-home energy assessment. Our energy expert will review your home's energy efficiency and provide a personalized report of energy-saving improvements. Plus, you may also receive energy-efficient upgrades like faucet aerators, smart power strips, and LED light bulbs at no cost to you. Don't wait to save money and energy. Schedule your whole-home energy assessment today at sjgsaveenergy.com or call 201-690-7897 today.
Progressive's Teen Driver discount could lower the cost of insurance for your teenager and save you some money. And then you can still spend money on them. Because just when you think you have a grasp on spending, new sneakers. And then it's money for a school field trip. And of course, spending money. Oh yeah, and a new phone to replace the one they dropped in the toilet. Oh, don't remind me. So just get Progressive's Teen Driver discount. And then you can continue to spend money on them. endlessly. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discount not available in all states and subject to terms and conditions.
Looking for the ultimate sports bar experience? Welcome to Ventnor Social, Down Beach's newest upscale sports bar. Watch every play on 27 big screen TVs with a state-of-the-art sound system that puts you right in the action. Grab a cold drink, savor American eats and fresh seafood, and don't miss their unbeatable lunch, happy hour, and dinner specials. Enjoy live music on the open-air deck, an arcade for the family downstairs, and video games that will level up your night. Ventnor Social on Ventnor Avenue. Visit their Facebook page for up-to-date info and specials.
South Jersey's official play-by-play home of the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers.
At 0 point would I ever consider not being a fan of the team.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
Finally! This is Hanging with Hennig.
I have friends everywhere.
On 97.3 ESPN Radio, South Jersey.
In New Jersey. Am I right? Yeah.
Live feed on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It seems to run on some form of electricity. Well, you're not wrong.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together.
Now, here's your host.
He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone!
Josh Hennig.
Josh Hennig hanging out with you live at Margate Fun Fest on Amherst Avenue on 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget, Hanging with Hennig is being brought to you by the Gridiron Pit inside Tropicana, Atlantic City, powered by Cedar Sportsbook, a high-energy fan zone where blackjack meets big screens, bold bites, and big wins. Play your hand, catch every snap, indulge in tailgate-inspired food and drinks, and spin the big wheel of prizes every Saturday and Sunday throughout the football season. The Gridiron Pit, where the thrill of the game meets the rush of the table, located near the cashier's cage. Learn more at Caesars.com. Must be 21 or older to play. Know when to stop before you start gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Coming up in about 20 minutes from now, we will be joined by Andy McNamara for the latest on fantasy football. I know for a lot of people, last week was probably not a great week for some of you. Let's be realistic. Not a great week in fantasy. It wasn't for me, at least. I mean, T. Higgins gave me nothing. So I've already benched T. Higgins. I don't even care anymore. So we'll get to Andy McNamara coming up around 1:25 today, and we will dig deeper into the Eagles Bucs matchup. Jenna Laine, who covers the Bucs for ESPN, she will join us coming up at 2:25 here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, we've been talking about the Eagles, the Phillies, and college football throughout the show. We'll get back to text board in just a bit at 609-403-0973. But, Nick, you're back in the studio, so I'm going to pop you in here for a minute, okay? So if you want to pop your camera back on there, buddy.
Yeah.
Because I think that was interesting conversation about the NOLA thing. And before we get to Stephen Ventnor, I see his text at 609-403-0973. But as I was saying before the break, I think that there's this misnomer about Walker Buehler that he's got all this bullpen experience, right? When he's got one postseason game out of the bullpen. So I think it was more about what is Nola comfortable with than more about what Walker Buehler's experience is with. I think that is what's dictating things. Because I think if you asked Aaron Nola, of course he's going to say he'd rather start to come out of the bullpen. And I think Walker Buehler, I mentioned Oral Hershiser. You're a little bit too young for that. But in 1988, Hershiser started, came out of the bullpen. He did everything. He won World Series MVP in 1988. And so I look at Buehler as the guy who's like, hey, coach, what do you need me to do? You need me to come out of the bullpen? You need me to start a game? I don't care. And I think that is where Buehler's value is, because I don't think any of these guys really want to come out of the bullpen. Right, Nick? I don't think that Suarez, Luzardo, any of these guys are like, I don't think they're volunteering. You know what I mean?
No, and I'm kind of with you there with Walker Buehler. Like, they've been able to piggyback him and see what he's like, right? Coming out of the bullpen with Taijuan Walker. You know, Buehler, Walker, Buehler, the whole thing, right? The joke that Rob Thompson said in the dugout the other week, right? Right. So, I mean, they wanted to see and get him some work coming out of the bullpen, piggybacking off guys, whether it's starting, whether it's coming out of the bullpen, following a starter, etc. And I think he's comfortable there. Now, with Nola, it's just, we know about the Nola coaster, okay? Last night was a good part of the ride, right? Like, last night was the best part. That's like the big loop that you go through on the roller coaster, right? That was part of the Nola coaster last night. You get 8 innings strong out of him. I understand it's the Minnesota Twins, but That's the positive of having Nola on this squad. And remember, he signed a long-term contract, so that's going to be a factor into this as well. And I just don't think his stuff plays out of the bullpen that well. I don't like comfortability is part of it, but his stuff I just don't trust coming out of the bullpen. We've seen him have blow-up innings. If he's out of routine, he's had a routine for a long time as a starter in this league, right? I don't want to take him out of that routine. Last day was a great start. I don't think they'll make the change. I think it'll still be the 3 lefties in the DS, but it's something to consider, and he made the conversation a little bit tougher last night after posing a start like that.
Well, and I said this before, and I want to ask your perspective before I get to the text board at 609-403-0973. Josh Hennig broadcasting live from Margate Fun Fest on Amherst Avenue over here in Margate. Beautiful day out here, Nick. I mean, the wind coming off the bay is perfect right now.
Oh, I'm jealous.
That's just the best part of the day here for me. Fresh air out here. By the way, thanks to Cat Country and Light Rock 96.9 for putting the tents over us here as our sister stations here in the building. So, but I want to ask you, I said before the break, I think last night's start helps the Phillies more than it helps Nola. Because my perspective is I think they always wanted to put him on the postseason roster. I think they didn't want to have a scenario where people are going to rip them or question them.
Oh.
Well, what are you doing with Nola? Why are you putting him? I think ever since Zach Wheeler was down, right? Ever since Zach Wheeler had the unfortunate situation with the blood clot and then thoracic outlet syndrome, I think the plan all along was they were going to want to put Nola on the postseason roster. But they needed to start like last night to be able to overtly say, hey, you see that start? See, he pitched well. That's what he's capable of. I think that was more of a relief for the Phillies than it was for Nola proving that he belongs. Does that make sense?
I agree with part of your premise here. I disagree a little bit. I think he was always going to be on the playoff roster. No doubt about it. I don't think he was ever going to be left off. That's number one. I think number two is it's just about what role is he going to have throughout the postseason. That's the thing. The DS, it's like, what is his role? Like, he could be on the roster. This was the Taiwan Walker argument that Mike and I were having before they signed Walker Buehler and things changed, right? So what was his role going to be if they were going with the 3 lefties anyway? That's like, are they going to take him out of the bullpen? Are they going to put him in relief at some point? I don't love that. And is he comfortable doing that? I'm sure, look, Nola's going to be a guy who, like, he'll do whatever. Like, he's that type of teammate, and it just seems like he's that type of guy. But I don't love him coming out of the bullpen, and it's like, what is his role if you're going with the 3 lefties to start no matter what, and then you bring in Walker Buehler, who you want to be that guy to piggyback off of a Luzardo if he gets into trouble or something like that. It was just a question of what his role would be, and it would have been, it still could be nothing in the DS. CS, I think you're going to see Nola. DS, that was the biggest question. If they could get to the CS, by the way. It's not a given or anything, but I disagree with that. I don't think he was ever going to be left off the roster. I just think he was just not going to be used.
Yeah, and I think that, as you said, I don't think you have him for the NLDS. This is about the NLCS and a potential World Series. Because at the end of the day, you look at the teams, first of all, you mentioned this earlier in the locker room, filling in for Billy Schweim here on 97.3 ESPN. I think this is a very important point that you made earlier. We're not even sure the Mets are going to make it. We're not even sure the Mets are going to be there.
Yeah.
So we have been so stressed and worried about, what are the Mets going to do? Could you face the Mets? Could you go to Citi Field? There's a possibility the Mets don't even make the postseason.
Tonight. They could be out of it tonight. If the Reds win, the Mets lose, it's over.
Now, I'm not saying the Reds are a pushover. But you don't have the PTSD nightmares that you do with the Mets, right? So there's a real strong possibility, Nick, that when you're looking at this postseason scenario, look at the teams that could be there. Dodgers, Brewers, Padres. We know about those teams, right? But now who is the other 2 teams going to be? Well, there's a possibility the Mets aren't one of them. Could be the Reds, right?
Yep.
I mean, there's still a mathematical possibility. I think the Diamondbacks.
No, they're out. Right? They are officially out.
Diamondbacks
are officially out. Yep.
Because they lost last night.
Yes, correct.
To the Padres.
Yep,
yeah.
correct.
I don't know if you saw that Tatis blast he hit last night.
Yeah, I did.
That thing was nuts.
Nuts.
But then he followed up with a great play. Did you see him catch the ball, hand it up the wall, and throw it in? That's when I fell asleep at 1 o'clock. But still, like, so there's a possibility that you have the Reds instead of the Mets in the postseason. That changes everything. That turns the whole Sanchez, Suarez, Luzardo conversation on its head, because now you're looking at a Reds team that does not give you the issues that the Mets would.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, the Reds, Hunter Green, they have a good, young starting pitchers on that squad. So the Reds are no pushover team at all. But yeah, you look at it with the Mets, and I think people were so worried because of what happened last year at Citi Field being a disaster for this team, right? And Nola does not pitch well on the road, so specifically at Citi Field. So I think that's good for the Phillies because it's a bad matchup on the road there. But it's hilarious that you see the Mets falling apart, and they could be out of it tonight. And tonight and tomorrow are going to be nuts. I will confirm with you, I am going to the game tonight. It is happening. There's back and forth. We're going. I'm going to be there tonight. And I hope Schwarber gets a home run. I want him to get that too, by the way.
I know. I'm all for Schwarber breaking the record. And so is Ryan Howard, by the way. Ryan Howard's been outwardly saying he wants to break the record too.
Yeah.
But,
now I want to bring something up with you. I brought it up earlier in the locker room. What do you make of Hembo talking about pitch tipping in Major League Baseball? He brought it up on the Sports Bash this week. I kind of incorporated that into the discussion today. What did you make of his analysis there?
I think it's a very valid point because when Hembo was on with Mike Gill earlier this week, by the way, the new book is Got Your Legends.
Yep.
I've started reading it. It's an awesome
I need to get it,
book.
man.
Yeah, well,
I need a copy.
You got to stop being lazy. You just got to go out and get it yourself. That's what I do. So I can't wait around for people to help me out. I got to take care of stuff myself sometimes.
I need a copy, man. Looks good.
But no, but the thing is that Hembo, I think the point he brought up with Mike Gill earlier on the Sports Bash this week on 97.3 ESPN is important because if we're looking at Luzardo, right, as a guy who he might be vulnerable on the road versus home, and that being on the road might be an easier way for people to grab his tip pitches. Are you now planning your rotation like you did with Christopher Sanchez last year, right? Sanchez last year, his stats were way better at home than the road.
Yep.
So you purposely adjusted your rotation and put him at home. Are you now telling me that in the NLDS you're saying Sanchez game 1 and then Luzardo game 2 and Ranger game 3 because of what Hembo's point is?
Yeah.
I think it's a very important thing to keep in mind. We know the Phillies are an analytics-driven organization. We know they care about those analytics and those numbers and those splits. And while Luzardo doesn't have bad road splits versus home, I checked it out earlier this week, it's not really that bad. It's a very marginal difference. But if Hembo is saying that the tip pitching is as intense as it could be in the postseason, I'm assuming the Phillies would know that, right? I know the Phillies, if Hembo knows it, and I know it, and you know it, and we know that that's been Luzardo's biggest problem. I hate this whole idea of, well, out of the stretch. Look at the numbers. The stretch is not the issue for him.
No.
The issue is the second and third time through a lineup. And when do you do the most pitch stealing, the most analysis, right, is after the first, second at bats, right? You go back to the dugout and you say, I saw him moving the glove a little bit with the fastball. I saw him adjusting the ball behind his back a little bit. He wiggles his foot on the rubber before he throws the curveball or whatever it may be. That's when the tells come in. That's when a team like back in, what was it, July when they played the Red Sox?
Yeah.
And he was almost like a perfect game through 5 innings, and then he imploded. Well, guess what happened? That was the third time through the lineup, and then the Phillies were stupid and left him in there to get brutalized. The conversation for another day. But the point is that I think that the point that Hembo brought up and what you brought up this morning, filling in for the locker room with Billy Schwein on 97.3, I think those are very valid points.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see what they do here with Luzardo if they use him in Game 3. Originally, before hearing Hembo's point on that, I thought it was fascinating. I would say go Ranger Game 2, but now he's got me thinking a little bit. It's like, because if it's worse on the road because of all the video technology, etc., with what he brought up, maybe you go Ranger Game 3 and you save him for the third game on the road. We know Ranger, just stoic. Nothing bothers that guy. Nothing phases Ranger Suarez. You pitch him on the road. And remember, Luzardo doesn't have a great track record. It's a very minimal one in the postseason. It's against the Phillies. Remember that. He struggled with Miami when he faced the Phillies in the postseason a couple years ago. So you want him to be as comfortable as possible. And if you can have him at CBP, Game 2, and you're up 1-0 in a series, then you're in good shape. I think it also depends what happens Game 1, too. Like, do you go, like, if you lose game one, then are you in a spot where, hey, we might need to start Ranger tonight? Got to go the best pitcher, best arm. That's a question, too.
It's certainly a valid question. I don't hate it. I don't dislike it. I don't think it's a bad thing. By the way, you're not the only guy going to the game, apparently. Chris in Northfield chimed in on the text board. He says, I'm headed to the Phillies game in a jitney departing at 3 o'clock.
Oh.
He says, if you hear F the Mets chant, that's us, says Chris in Northfield.
That's awesome. Chris, if you see me down there, come say hello, all right? I don't actually have no idea where my seats are. I have no clue. I think I'm underneath, though, because, there's a chance of rain. So I think we're underneath, though. We got underneath seats. So say hello, Chris.
By the way, before we get back to the text board, I got a tweet for you.
Yeah, what's up? What tweet?
I'm going to pop it up on the screen.
Twitter X platform? Twitter X. It's all the same.
Tweet. All right. Let me pop it up on the screen. We're streaming on YouTube and X at Josh Hennig at 973 ESPN. Keith Pompey. Joel Embiid participating in most of today's practice, including the live portion.
Now, did you see the pictures that came out today of Joel Embiid, Josh?
I saw one of them. I didn't see more than
there was he was wearing something today. I can't tell if it was a brace or what. There was something on the legs.
It looked like a compression sleeve.
Yeah.
It looked like one of those like copper compression
Yeah.
sleeves that have like the little like bubble around the knee.
Yep.
And I'm wondering, because as someone not on the same level, but someone who's had my own knee problems, there is a comfort level sometimes.
Just having it on.
Wearing that, to keep wearing it. So I'm wondering with Embiid, how much of that is necessary and how much of it is I just feel more comfortable with it.
Day by day. We're just going to take it day by day with Joel.
Oh, I know. I heard.
Day by
he said
day.
it yesterday.
Day by day. Who knows?
His classic Embiid mumble through it.
Who knows, man? I can't. I couldn't even like get all the energy out today during my Sixers rant because I'm just like, it is what it is at this point.
Listen, I got to tell you, I just don't even care anymore.
I can't even get mad. I'm just like not even there.
Dude, they're so low on the priority list at this point. It's like there's so many other things going on that I have way more interest in. I could care less. I mean, it's September. I got Phillies baseball. I got football. I got other things to watch.
That's what I said.
To me, I hate the fact the NBA starts their year in October. I think the NBA and the NHL should start their years in December. Okay? Just start the year in December and go through July. Okay?
I like it.
Because at that point, you're not conflicting us all with our schedules. Okay, we want to have lives. Okay, I want to sleep at some point. I might want to go to a movie. I might want to go out to a great time like Margate Fall Funfest.
You wouldn't be saying this if the Sixers were winning, though. You wouldn't be saying this.
Oh, I would. I'm not. Listen, I might be a 4 for 4, but I'm not a diehard Sixers guy. Okay, I'm not I'm not stomping my feet 1, 2, 3, 76ers all the time.
You're not clapping your hands. Not clapping your hands, huh?
Speaking of the Sixers, so I don't know if you know this, Kate Scott, she is going to be on the radio call for the Steelers-Vikings game in Dublin.
Oh, I didn't know she was going to be on the radio call for that. How about that?
Yeah,
Congrats to her.
How crazy is that? Now, we can't air it because we got Billy Schweim tomorrow live from Lascaux Brigantine here on 97.3 ESPN. But, I do think it's interesting that I don't know if anyone's ever heard Kate Scott, the Sixers television broadcaster. I think she's actually better as a football analyst than she is a basketball, personally.
That's a fair assessment. I think she's really good at football. She's done preseason games, I know, in the past as well on TV, etc. That's pretty cool that she's going to be on the radio broadcast. But it's just a reminder that Sixers season is close, and Media Day gave us nothing to be excited about yesterday. Just day by day. Every day it's going to be something new. Typical Sixers.
Absolutely. All right, Nick, thanks for popping in there. Josh Hennig hanging out with you at Margate Funfest is where we are hanging out here on 97.3 ESPN. We'll get back to the football coming up next. Andy McNamara will join us. It is NFL Week 4. We have more backup quarterbacks starting tomorrow. We got the news, though, about the Jets game. How could that impact your fantasy football team? Andy has all the answers coming up. Josh Hennig hanging out with you at Margate Funfest on 97.3 ESPN. Streaming live on YouTube and X at Josh Hennig in the Dr. Squatch virtual studio.
College Football Saturday on ESPN
Clear.
Radio.
This is the best atmosphere.
6th ranked Oregon travels to Happy Valley to face number 3 Penn State in a whiteout game.
We've played in good environments before. They described it as a good one.
It's College Football Saturday on 97.3 ESPN.
College Football Saturday, brought to you by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Coverage begins at 7 p.m.
Get ready to level up your game day at Tropicana Atlantic City. Introducing Gridiron Pit, powered by Caesars Sportsbook, a high-energy fan zone where blackjack meets big screens, bold bites, and big wins. Play your hand, catch every snap, indulge in tailgate-inspired food and drinks, and spin the big wheel of prizes every Saturday and Sunday throughout football season. Gridiron Pit, where the thrill of the game meets the rush of the table. Located near the cashier cage. Learn more at Caesars.com. Must be 21 or older. Know when to stop before you start. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Listen up. The soap you shower with? It's you probably haven't even questioned what bar of soap you lather up with. Let's face it, most guys don't. But now you can upgrade your shower game with Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. I'm talking about natural, nourishing, cold-pressed, hand-cut soap for men. Men who use their hands. Men who build things. Men who catch foul balls without spilling their beer. You won't just smell good either. Your skin will be healthier and more nourished. We make our soaps with natural ingredients from the earth. Ingredients like oils, plants, goat's milk, Greek yogurt, oatmeal, shea butter, and citrus. Turn your shower game up to 11. Get ready to step out of the shower feeling alive.
Hey, this is Josh Hennig. Go to my social media and click my exclusive Dr. Squatch link for your chance to save $10 off your next order of great natural soap, deodorant, and much more. Only with Dr. Squatch.
Change is always happening. It's part of life. And when it comes to music, change is all around us. Songs are rewritten, classics are remixed, bands and artists come and go. Even our taste in music changes. Here at Xfinity, we know there's still good in keeping some things the same. That's why we want to do our part with a 5-year price guarantee on our internet. It means no matter what changes, you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best equipment included for a price that stays exactly the same. Surprised? Life is full of them. One internet price, 5 years, guaranteed. Learn more at xfinity.com/deals. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Warm up this fall with an incredible seafood boil. Try the Uncle George with succulent snow crabs, tasty mussels, and shrimp. There's the Pete's Feast with 2 pounds of sweet succulent crab legs, a dozen shrimp, clams, and a pound of mussels. Or create your own boil. Add a lobster tail or a delicious Dungeness cluster. Include smoked sausage, corn, and potatoes, served in our tasty broth, made with white wine and our signature seasonings. A shellfish lover's dream at Chickies and Pete's. Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's, the official sports bar of your world champion Philadelphia Eagles. Go where the players go. Come join us all season for Eagles pep rallies, watch parties, and the best in-game experience anywhere. Ice-cold draft beer, world-famous food, and fan-friendly fun for every Eagles game. Every Monday night in South Philly, the Jordan Mailata Show, presented by Miller Lite, followed by Chicky and Pete's Players Lounge with a current player, hosted by Ike Reese and Hugh Douglas. Go where the players go. Chickies and Pete's.
Transforming your land with a John Deere compact tractor is as easy as connect, latch, load, haul, spread. Cutting grass is as simple as roll, click, mow. Box blading is as effortless as hook, lock, grade. And backhoeing is as convenient as turn around, switch, dig. Because when you've got the versatility to tackle just about any job and dealer support in your own backyard, you just have to get in the seat. Find the right compact tractor for you at johndeere.com.
Go to get your game on at the Fanatic Sportsbook in the gallery at Ocean Casino Resort. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go where fans become fanatics at the Fanatic Sportsbook in the gallery. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com.
Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Whether you're outside for work or just outside for fun, you need apparel and accessories that can keep up. At the Hub, you'll find it all. Lightweight shirts, cooling tees, shorts, hats, and boots, in sizes for men and women, including regular, big, and tall. The Hub has the brands you know and trust. Carhartt, Dickies, Timberland Pro, Wolverine, Wigwam, Levi's, and that's just the start. Need gear for the job site? They've got you covered. Looking for something comfortable for the weekend or the beach? They have that too. Stay cool with moisture-wicking fabrics, breathable button-ups, and lightweight work jackets for early mornings. The Hub is your summer destination for clothing that works as hard as you do. From rain gear to sun hats, steel-toe boots to casual sandals, they carry it all. Find the right fit, the right style, and the right price every time you shop.
You're hanging with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
I want my picks back, and I want David Putney.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
I want all my picks back, and I want David Putney just because I feel like it.
You're out of your mind.
Yeah, I am. Haven't I proved that already?
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Josh Hennig back here hanging with you on 97.3 ESPN live from Margate Fun Fest. Beautiful day out here. Nice breeze coming off of the bay down here on Amherst Avenue in Margate with over 110 vendors. We are out here hanging out. And, of course, I had to play the outro for my guy Andy McNamara because it's his favorite movie, arguably, Draft Day. And, of course, Andy joins us each week to talk fantasy football. NFL Week 4, Andy. Who would have thought we'd already be here? And, Andy, I feel like there's more injuries than we could have planned for. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Listen, I always appreciate a little Sonny Weaver Jr. and David Bleepin' Putney because he feels like it. Best sports movie of all time. I'll stand on that. I'll die on that hill, Josh. But I'm doing good.
I don't know if it's the best sports movie, but it's definitely one of my favorites for sure.
It's dynamite. Watch it every draft day. But yeah, you're right, man. Hey, it's week 4. Listen, I'm still riding high. I was in Cleveland last Sunday when the Browns hit that 55-yard field goal and put formerly the best team in the NFL. Everyone crowned the Packers. Shut them down, and now they go into Detroit. So I'm feeling pretty good.
Well, to that point, let me just ask you a question about that really quick, okay? For you, Andy, again, for you, host of the Sick Podcast, Browns fan Andy McNamara, watching the Browns defense finally, they are who we thought they were moment, right? You know, the Browns defense showing up the way they did.
Yeah.
Is that one of those things where you're like, hey, that's great. This is great. We're going to do this thing. Or is it like, that was one game, guys, relax?
Well, the thing is, it wasn't surprising the Browns' defensive effort because we've seen from last year, but with these new rookie additions early on, we've seen pieces of that. We've seen Carson Schwechter be an absolute bulldog, Clay Matthews-like. You've seen Mason Graham, which, Josh, we were on, doing the draft show, right, and talking draft and all that, and when the Browns traded that second overall pick, traded away Travis Hunter, I was furious. I was beside myself. Now you look at what Travis Hunter has done, which has been kind of nothing, and Mason Graham has been an absolute difference maker, and you see when the attention has to be made to him, Myles Garrett is feasting. So that defensive effort didn't surprise me, and I think there is more to come. So that's going to be the norm. The question for the Cleveland Browns is, can they score any points? That's the issue.
I mean, and I think that's where the fantasy football conversation comes in with Andy McNamara here at AndyMC81 on the Twitter X platform, at AndyMC Sports on Instagram. Jerry Jeudy, David Njoku, Harold Fannin Jr. These are all guys that people picked up in their fantasy football drafts. And right now, all three of them, they're not giving you much, Andy. They're not doing much for you. So if you're a fantasy football owner, like, for example, I've already benched Njoku in my one league. I just can't do it anymore. Yeah. And it's very frustrating, Andy, because we're in a world where the tight end position, like, I remember the good old days. Remember when we were younger and the tight end was like the premier fantasy football position? Now it's like, can I get anybody to score 10 points? Like, I mean, Sam Laporta is averaging 9 points a game, can't even crack 10.
Right, and that's unfortunately following a trend that we saw last year with him. Travis Kelce is toast as a premier fantasy contributor. I'm with you. I had David Njoku, and unless you have no other option, he's almost not playable. But then we say that, and it's like, well, then you can just go pick up another guy off waivers who's also not playable. So, like,
right.
Like, at least there's the potential with David Njoku. We just have not seen it. Harold Fannin Jr., I would not be cutting him. I would be keeping him. He is just impressing all over the place. But the problem has been the Browns' offensive line. Comes back to that. DeJuan Jones, starting left tackle, first series against the Packers last week, busted his leg up, out for the year. So now the Browns had two backup tackles. And Joe Flacco, not the most mobile, has no time to get rid of the ball. So if Jack Conklin comes back this week, that solidifies it a little bit. They have to start getting the ball. Because, man, I saw some plays, Josh, where Isaiah Bond, who we talked about as a fantasy sleeper, wide open downfield. Jerry Jeudy, wide open. The problem is guys are in Flacco's face too soon. So we can't get there. One fantasy contributor, and we were saying you got to wait and see and pick up later in drafts. And whoever listened is going to be very happy now, last week, and moving forward. Quinshon Judkins. What a beast.
Andy, with the Browns, let's move away from them for a minute because obviously there's only so much you can do with a team like that. Also, in part because you mentioned the offensive line, the quarterback, there's limitations there. But let's talk about some other positions because I think one of the big fantasy football news this weekend is Washington because Jaden Daniels not playing again. Marcus Mariota played good, not great, played good. But no Scary Terry. Terry McLaurin out indefinitely. So now Mariota, his value goes down. The Washington offense value goes down. Is that a situation where if you're a Deebo Samuel owner, you're saying lean in heavily or play carefully?
Oh, well, if you look, only guy. He has to be. Now, the question is, the other teams know that too, right? So whereas Terry McLaurin, even though he wasn't getting the, let's say, production we wanted, at least had to be accounted for. And now you have the Falcons who were embarrassed, right? Like, Josh, I saw the highlight. I still have no idea how they lost 30-0 to the Carolina Panthers. I don't, like, I saw it and I still don't know. I think it was so baffling. They're embarrassed. An embarrassed team can be dangerous or it might fold up shop, right? It's tricky. So if you're the Commanders, what do you have to go with when it's fantasy football? Well, you got Deebo Samuel for sure. Krosky Merritt is questionable. Then you're just guessing at running back Rodriguez and McNichols. Noah Brown is even out, and we weren't excited about him. I think there is a big opportunity to swing it back to the tight ends. Zach Ertz, old friend of Philly, right? Zach Ertz has quietly, Josh, had a very nice, solid, and for a tight end in fantasy football, very good season so far. Like, if we look at it, I'm just pulling up his fantasy stats here, so we got him PPR. Last week, not the best with Mario, but 3 for 3, caught all of them. First 2 weeks, each a touchdown. Target share, 5 and 8. Mariota has to go to Ertz, right? It seems like he has to, or you're going to be we're not starting, Luke McCaffrey's there, maybe. We're not starting him, Chris Moore. Like, there's not a lot of options. It's Deebo Samuel and Zach Ertz, man.
Andy, let's look around as well. Some other injuries. We got the news, by the way, today. Fantasy football news as well. Justin Fields will play Monday night. And I think it's very significant because if you're one of these people who lost Joe Burrow, you lost Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks are dropping left and right. The Dolphins are one of the worst defenses all in football. My Football Friday show last night, I picked the over in the Dolphins-Jets game because you got two coaching staffs that like to be aggressive offensively. So for you, Andy, are you looking at Justin Fields as a potential streaming option Monday night for the people who you lost Joe Burrow, you lost Jaden Daniels, you're losing guys? Is he, or maybe you put him out there instead of Aaron Rodgers, right? Is Justin Fields a guy that you're rolling with Monday night?
Have to. Mainly because of his legs. Real life Justin Fields, love him because he's a former Buckeye, but man, he's not a good starting NFL quarterback. But we don't care about that in fantasy football. Can he get me points? Yes, sir. You can run it. He can chuck it up. And in the one full game he played, he looked great with fantasy-wise against Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Coming back against Tampa Bay, whose offensive line, little bit struggling. Does that mean that Baker's going to have to get rid of quicker, jack up the score a little bit more, right? Like, I think Justin Fields is a great stream. My top guy, though, if you want a little safer floor, Gino Smith. It's got to be Gino Smith. He's had a stinker, but this dude is your, meat and potatoes, 18 fantasy points type of thing, right? He might pop. Could have a dud. I'm not saying he's invincible, but Gino Smith is just as safe a pick, a stream as you can get, and he's a free agent in 50% of ESPN leagues, Jeff. 50% you can still get him. What's he do? First week, 18.48 points. Chargers, 6.2, terrible. Bounces back 26. Against Chicago, that's going to be high scoring. They're going to be flinging it. Give me some Gino.
Interesting. You're going with Gino Smith,
Go with
Andy
Gino.
McNamara, Andy MC81 on the X platform at Andy MC Sports on Instagram, the Sick Podcast every Sunday morning. Like, subscribe, share it with your friends. And Andy joins us each week here Saturdays, Hanging with Hennig, as we're broadcasting live today from Margate Fun Fest on Amherst Avenue down here in Margate, right on the bay. And I got the bay breeze blowing behind me here.
Oh, nice.
So it's a good time. So, but interesting you mentioned Gino. So you're going Gino over, let's say, a Carson Wentz?
Yes.
Wentz looked pretty good last week, and Kevin O'Connell made a very interesting point this week. I saw the interview on the Pat McAfee show. KOC said, I'm asking Carson Wentz to be a point guard. We're not asking him to win games. So, is Carson Wentz a point guard good enough for fantasy football distributing, or are you saying, I'm not depending on doubling games for fantasy football wins?
Yeah, you're international. It's Carson Wentz, and point guard is another word for game manager. Those are three fantasy no-nos, man. Come on. Like Carson Wentz, people are like, oh, look at the score. Did you see 2 defensive touchdowns? Right. Carson Wentz may be able to help the Vikings limp through J.J. McCarthy, who's still an unknown commodity, let's be real, through that stretch. But as good as that game was, 48 points, he scored 15.3 fantasy points. Now, you're not going to have a better week than that as far as overall point totals for the Vikings. You're playing Pittsburgh, whose defense is always tough. Real life, Carson Wentz may be able to get you through. Fantasy-wise, the peak is going to be 15 points. I would rather roll the dice with an Aaron Rodgers who got you 12 points last week. But certainly a Geno Smith. I wonder, Josh, what do you think Jackson Dart getting the start in New York? These rookies, first time out, anyone see them? It's usually a bit of a feast or famine, right? Either they're like, wow, overreaction, or uh-oh, not so good.
Oh, this is the easiest question you could ever bring up. I've said this multiple times. Jackson Dart is going to be destroyed tomorrow. Like, that Chargers defense is going to come for him. I think it was the Giants are obviously so desperate and they're so, like, trying to save their jobs that they're sacrificing their first-round pick to one of the best defenses in football right now. I think the Chargers are going to absolutely crush him. And don't forget, the cornerback Stills for the Chargers, second-year corner, do you know where he's from?
No.
South Jersey.
Oh.
He is going to have family and friends there because, for those who don't remember, the Giants had a chance to draft him. The kid from New Jersey, they could have drafted him, and they didn't. You don't think Stills is looking around being like, I'm going to intercept this stupid little Dart kid in this game? You don't think the Chargers are not going to come get that guy? It's bad enough the Giants have a bad offensive line. It's bad enough that Tracy is injured, right? And don't tell me that the Giants had to make this move. They could have waited one more week. They could have put Jameis Winston in there. They could have started Dart next week against the Saints. Saints are not a good defense.
That's what I'm thinking.
I think if you are streaming defenses, Andy, Chargers, stream them, start them, lock them in. I wish I had my button. I could press Stone Cold Lead Pipe Lock of the Century of the Week. Like, to me, I think Dart is going to look bad tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on the decision to start it, and it's clearly Daboll is in desperation mode, right? Like, he has to show some significant progression of Dart to maybe save his job. Maybe. Right? I'm with you. Throw Jameis in there. We saw Jameis with the Browns last year. The dude's fun. It's a good time, gets everyone jacked up for 1 week. Then you put him in against the Saints. Fantasy streaming option, a little Scattaboo interest you, Josh? No Tracy, a little Scattaboo? I think they're going to get down, and Scattaboo's going to be relatively irrelevant because they're going to have to play catch-up, and it's going to get ugly. I'm totally with you. Streaming option there. But if you do think, I kind of like Jackson Dart, maybe just not this week, now is the time to pick him up before the Saints, right? Pick him up, bench him, wait and see, right? Pick him up, bench him. You got some wide receiver you're never going to play on your fantasy bench. Pick him up, park him. Maybe you see some things even in a loss. Oh, he's looking good moving around or whatever. Who knows, right? So that would be the strategy for Jackson Dart. But, man, it gets thin real quick at quarterback. And, look, I'm not totally writing out Jake Browning for the Bengals. This guy's a wild man. Total stinker, I know.
I was going to ask you about that.
Total stinker. But I think there's still time. Like, he's going to surprise. The problem is we got to see him do it before we can put him in. And it's against Denver in Denver. That's not the time to do it. Then you're hosting Detroit. That's probably not the time to do it. Then you got Green Bay with Micah Parsons. Maybe that's not the time to do it. Pittsburgh and the Jets. So it's like all over the place. And I got to say, I don't think Micah Parsons is 100%, Josh, just for those streaming Green Bay defenses. He limped off the first play versus the Browns last week and was a non-factor the rest of the game. It was supposed to be like Parsons versus Myles Garrett. Parsons didn't do squat. So if you're streaming Green Bay defenses, I would just keep that in mind.
Well, he did have that back procedure where they were helping his back before the season. So
yeah, epidural
stuff. I think Parsons, they're going to have Parsons ready to go tonight. Tomorrow night. That's going to be, hey, Jerry. They're going to show Jerry on television every time he gets a sack. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Micah gets like 2-3 sacks. And remember, the Cowboys got 2 offensive linemen tomorrow night. So no bueno for Dak, and also no CeeDee Lamb. Don't forget about that. So it's not going to be a good night for Dallas. Before I let you go, because you mentioned about Jake Brown, I was going to ask you about that. So what are you telling the owners of the receivers, though? Because T. Higgins, I started him last week. He did nothing for me. I benched him. I'm done. Like, I can't. You got to show me before I put you back in the lineup. Are we concerned? Because remember, we were talking about Wentz to Jefferson. How is that going to work? Well, that seems to be okay, right? But now we got Browning to Chase and Higgins. What are we doing here, Andy?
Yeah. The problem, similar to Jefferson, I think the alpha, the number one, is going to be fine-ish. Now, when I say fine, you're going to see a drop in fantasy points. You are. When Browning came in, the last time he filled in for Burrow in 2023, we saw a significant fantasy point drop for Higgins, and I believe up to 7 per game on average for Chase. That still meant Chase was getting you in the mid-teens, which for a normal receiver is good, but not for a guy who you picked first or second overall, right?
Right.
That's just, Higgins, if you can afford to bench him, I think that's a smart play. As always, depends who do you have else coming in. The waiver wire is so thin, man. Like, it is this I think going into 4 weeks might be the worst selection of waiver wire options. Usually I can find some scrounge, receiver pop. It is just a dog's breakfast. There's nothing there. So it's tough. If you got somebody sitting there, do it. But otherwise, with Chase, man, you're just gonna have to be like, all right, you're gonna give me 15 fantasy points and hope for the best.
He's Andy McNamara. Of course, we talk fantasy football with him every Saturday here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN at AndyMC81 on the Twitter X platform. Hashtag Ask Andy for your fantasy football questions. Of course, at Andy MC Sports on Instagram. And then tomorrow morning, the Sick Podcast. What do you got going on, Andy?
Oh, man, we are live at 10 a.m. Eastern on the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara. That's on YouTube, on X at Sick Pod Browns, Instagram, as you said, at Andy MC Sports as well. So that's where you send in your questions. Use hashtag Ask Andy. You can jump live in the chat. Love the live listeners. Jump in the chat, ask your fantasy questions, or hit us up on social at AndyMC81 on X at Sick Pod Browns. Get the questions in. Pop them up on the screen. We asked. We'll do Browns-Lions preview, which is going to be fun, and the parlay party where we build our ultimate betting ticket. We do like 12-leg parlays. One of these days we're going to hit it, Josh, but we go through, have a ton of fun on it. Going to be a great time. And for some fun horse racing content, I got the hat on. Railbirds, at my Railbirds on all socials. Up now, you'll see me wearing a nice DDP yoga shirt on this week's episode and talking some trash on the horse racing side. So have some fun with it.
I love it. Andy, always appreciate you jumping on. Enjoy the football weekend. We'll talk soon.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon. See ya.
Josh Hennig hanging out with you live at Margate Funfest, Amherst Avenue in Margate. Over 110 vendors on location. It's an awesome day to be out here. Fresh weather. I know the clouds have come in a little bit out here, but it's still a great day to be out here down at the shore here in Margate. Don't forget, coming up less than an hour from now, Jenna Laine, who covers the Buccaneers for ESPN NFL Nation. She will give us a deeper insight into the Eagles-Bucs matchup tomorrow. Mel Reese, Mike Quick calling all the action here in your home for Eagles football in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN. We'll get back to the text board coming up next, 609-403-0973. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on 97.3 ESPN, streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studio.
This is South Jersey's official home for Philadelphia Eagles football tomorrow. The Birds head down to Tampa to take on the Buccaneers in Week 4.
1st and 10 Bucs up across the 40. Mayfield back, dancing around. He is sacked back at the 30.
Pre-game coverage begins at noon. Merrill and Mike call all the action starting at 1 p.m. This is where the Super Bowl champs play. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's official Eagles station.
This football season, catch every game at the best sports bar in South Jersey. Yesterday's Creekside Tavern on Roosevelt Boulevard in Marmora features every Eagles game with the sound on, along with every NFL primetime matchup, as well as the biggest college football games every weekend. Don't miss out on yesterday's nightly food specials starting at 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday, along with reverse happy hour specials 9 p.m. to close each week. Plus, yesterday's Creekside Tavern in Marmora has all the Phillies games with the sound on the TVs for all of September and the can't-miss action of Red October. Yesterday's Creekside Tavern in Marmora is the place to be this football season. So call your friends and catch all the games at the Y.
Is your home game day ready? Don't get sidelined this season with a heating or cooling breakdown. With a Jenkins service contract, you'll get reliable coverage, priority scheduling, and peace of mind all season long. For over 76 years, local homeowners have trusted Jenkins to keep their comfort system in winning form. Stay ahead of the competition. Lock in your service contract now and score big savings. Call 609-641-6262 or visit jenkinsandsons.com today and make sure your home is always ready for kickoff.
Hi, I'm Maria, salon owner. You know the jingle. Now discover the facts about Ozempic, a GLP-1. There's only one FDA-approved Ozempic made by Novo Nordisk. Learn about the real thing.
Talk to your healthcare professional today. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and to learn more about Ozempic. Semaglutide injection 0.5, 1, and 2 milligrams.
The John Deere Gator XUV lets you cut, pack, drive, scout, weld, stack, feed, pull, load, tow, spray, and haul, all in a single day. Because with the highest cargo box volume in its class, customizable features, and a towing capacity of up to 4,000 pounds, it gets the job done. You just have to get in the seat. Learn more at your John Deere dealer or visit johndeere.com/GatorXUV.
Here in New Jersey, it's one wow after another, after another, after another. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zero. New Jersey's largest city is home to the state's largest museum. The Newark Museum of Art was founded in 1909 and showcases wows from around the world. You can explore dozens of galleries featuring art, culture, history, and science. Current exhibitions include Animal Kingdom and Liberty and Legacy. The Newark Museum of Art is generally open Thursday through Sunday. Find your wow at visitnj.org. New Jersey, little state, lot of wow.
I thought I was invincible.
Just a couple times turned into I lost count and gained an addiction.
I went from being ashamed to being optimistic for what comes next.
All it took was a call for help.
Letting people in let me finally start healing.
Addiction might be part of the story, but it doesn't have to be the end.
Call 844-REACH-NJ for 24/7 judgment-free addiction support or go to reachnj.gov.
A message from New Jersey Human Services.
With GMF financing to qualify buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales.
Get to Bennett Chevrolet's Red Hot Clear the Lot Inventory Blowout and get your new vehicle at the true GM supplier employee price. Plus, at Bennett, you keep all the rebates, saving you up to 20%. Yes, savings up to 20%. What other dealer will give you an offer like this? Nobody. That's who. Get to Bennett now and save more with available 0% financing. How does Bennett do it? Come check us out. And if you're looking for used, Bennett will give you a minimum $10,000 off. Yes, you'll get at least $10,000 off for your leaky, rusted out junk. What do you think Bennett pays for good trades? Come on, get here now during our Red Hot Clear the Lot blowout. It only happens once a year, so get here while selection is best. Plus, there's never any pressure with our non-commissioned sales staff. Paid on your satisfaction. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Do Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keep coming back? Tremfya, guselkumab, may help, with rapid remission achieved at 12 weeks and lasting clinical remission at 1 year. Some even saw visible improvement of their intestinal lining at 12 weeks and 1 year. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active Crohn's disease and adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Healing is possible with Tremfya. Approximately 3 out of 10 patients were in endoscopic remission at 1 year, based on areas visualized on colonoscopy, which may not represent the deeper bowel layer or entire GI tract. Individual results may vary. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
It's hurricane season. Are you prepared? Don't get left in the dark. Calvi Electric, a certified Generac dealer, has you covered. From installation to maintenance, they're your go-to experts for Generac generators, ensuring your home stays powered through any storm. A Generac home standby generator will automatically restore power to your home during an outage, so your life goes on uninterrupted. Put your trust in Calvi Electric, the premier electrical contractor serving South Jersey for over 115 years. Visit calvielectric.com today or call 609-345-0151.
Caesars Sportsbook app is the only sportsbook app with Caesars rewards. Bet on gridiron action and earn perks on every game like hotel stays, bonus bets, game tickets, and more. Download the app using promo
hear the
code
snap count.
Radio20X and place your first bet of $1 or more for a chance to double your winnings on your next 20 bets. Open to new users in New Jersey who are 21 or older. Max bet at $25 for boosted winnings. Max additional winnings $2,500 per bet. Profit boost tokens expire 14 days after receipt. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
You're hanging with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
People will come, Ray.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
People will most definitely come.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Josh Hennig back here live at Margate Fun Fest here at the Jersey Shore on 97.3 ESPN, streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studio. I would be remiss to not remind everybody out there, listen, just because it's a few months away doesn't mean you don't want to get in on the Mike's Seafood Valentine's Day Run Walk for Autism. It's going to be Saturday, February 14th on the boardwalk in Sea Isle City. Of course, the Run Walk event raises money every year. They had a record turnout last year for the Mike's Seafood. We would go there each year with 97.3 ESPN. We are proud to support them again. Go out and support them, whether it's the run or the walk for Mike's Seafood Run Walk for Autism. Go to polarbearrunwalkforautism.com because any day you can do something for children with disabilities, it is a good day. Josh Hennig back here in Margate. And, you know, I know that I am very, very critical sometimes of these quarterbacks, okay? And anyone who's listening to me long enough on 97.3 ESPN knows I can be very opinionated about the analysis of these quarterbacks. And part of the reason I do that is because I just can't stand the fact that we live in a world where people act like the quarterback is the end-all, be-all for everything, okay? I will argue this till the day I die. If the offensive line isn't blocked, the receivers don't catch, the quarterback is practically worthless, okay? We got to stop acting like, and the problem is, it's not just us and sports fans or media. It's the teams that do this. It's the teams that put these quarterbacks in a position to fail. Okay? You can't draft a quarterback and expect him to save your franchise, okay? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's, unless the guy is, I don't know, Tom Brady, almost no quarterback is actually able to elevate a team. There's only a handful of quarterbacks, Brady, Mahomes, those are the guys that can elevate a franchise. Most quarterbacks can't do it. If you think Jackson Dart is going to save the New York Giants from all of their sins, right, all their mistakes, he can't do it against the best defense in football. I'm sorry, he can't. All right? Jackson Dart's going to get murdered tomorrow, him and his black eye paint, because the Giants have no offensive line. Their coach calls bad plays. You go back to all 22. Dart is being put into an offense that calls bad plays. How can you expect a guy to be successful if the coach is calling bad plays? If Dart was playing for any other coach, I would have more confidence. But look at Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones had moderate success with the Giants. Now he's turning into Indiana Jones, Danny Diamonds in Indianapolis, whatever nickname you want to call him. Why is Jones so much better with Shane Steichen and the Colts than he was with the Giants? Because I think Brian Daboll is in over his skis. They have not built a good offensive line in front of these quarterbacks. And let's be realistic. If you thought that drafting Dart was going to fix all your problems, it's just not. You can't ask the quarterback to block and throw and run and catch. The Giants have 2.5 receivers, basically. It's not enough. You got to build more around their team. If you cared about Jackson Dart, you should have gone out there and said, we're going to start him against the Saints. If you start him against the Saints, he has a chance to be successful, gain some confidence. Instead, you're starting him against the top 5 defense in the Chargers tomorrow. And what's happening is he's going to get intercepted, he's going to get blasted on sacks, and he's going to have a rough day. You're going to mess with the kid's confidence. Okay? It's a bad job by the Giants, all right? If you cared about the kid's development instead of saving your job, Brian Daboll, you would have just started Jameis Winston, let him get blasted, and then start Dart next week against the Saints. Saints defense stinks. It's as simple as that. I know, you're giving me the side eye over there, Liam, but I'm just telling you the truth. I'm here to tell the facts. I don't care about people's feelings. Okay? By the way, is it a coincidence that the Ole Miss offense has functioned better this year with 2 other quarterbacks not named Dart? Come on. I don't hate the kid. I think he has a chance to be good. But you got to set him to be successful. Nick Earnshaw said that Dart gives him Jim McMahon vibes. Well, Jim McMahon got blasted early in his career with the Bears because the Bears' offensive line wasn't great either. So, listen, I hope for the best. I hope for the best. All right, coming up, we'll get back to the text board. 609-403-0973. Josh Hennig hanging out with you live at Margate Fall Funfest on 97.3 ESPN.
This Sunday morning, the Locker Room Crew will be back broadcasting live at Lascala's Beach House and Brigantine for our Eagles pregame show. Join me, Mr. Negadelphia PJ Corda, former Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Dave Klemic, and Josh Hennig as we get you ready for the Eagles-Bucs game. We'll get the keys to the game with Fox 29 News sports anchor Scott Grayson, brought to you by Blitz's Market. Hour 2, my fantasy football guru Brian Hartley checks in, brought to you by Charlie's Bar. It's the Locker Room with Billy Schwein, live from Lascala's Beach House and Brigantine, Sunday morning from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN.
I thought I was invincible.
Just a couple times turned into, I lost count, and gained an addiction.
I went from being ashamed to being optimistic for what comes next.
All it took was a call for help.
Letting people in let me finally start healing.
Addiction might be part of the story, but it doesn't have to be the end.
Call 844-REACH-NJ for 24/7 judgment-free addiction support or go to reachnj.gov.
A message from New Jersey Human Services.
Do Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keep coming back? Tremfya, guselkumab, may help, with rapid remission achieved at 12 weeks and lasting clinical remission at 1 year. Some even saw visible improvement of their intestinal lining at 12 weeks and 1 year. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active Crohn's disease and adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Healing is possible with Tremfya. Approximately 3 out of 10 patients were in endoscopic remission at 1 year, based on areas visualized on colonoscopy, which may not represent the deeper bowel layer or entire GI tract. Individual results may vary. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Warm up this fall with an incredible seafood boil. Try the Uncle George with succulent snow crabs, tasty mussels, and shrimp. There's the Pete's Feast with 2 pounds of sweet succulent crab legs, a dozen shrimp, clams, and a pound of mussels. Or create your own boil. Add a lobster tail or a delicious Dungeness cluster. Include smoked sausage, corn, and potatoes, served in our tasty broth, made with white wine and our signature seasonings. A shellfish lover's dream at Chickies and Pete's. Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's, the official sports bar of your world champion Philadelphia Eagles. Go where the players go. Come join us all season for Eagles pep rallies, watch parties, and the best in-game experience anywhere. Ice cold draft beer, world famous food, and fan-friendly fun for every Eagles game. Every Monday night in South Philly, the Jordan Mailata Show, presented by Miller Lite, followed by Chicky and Pete's Players Lounge with a current player, hosted by Ike Reese and Hugh Douglas. Go where the players go. Chickies and Pete's.
Caesars Sportsbook app is the only sportsbook app with Caesars rewards. Bet on gridiron action and earn perks on every game like hotel stays, bonus bets, game tickets, and more. Download the app using promo code RADIO20X and place your first bet of $1 or more for a chance to double your winnings on your next 20 bets. Open to new users in New Jersey who are 21 or older. Max bet at $25 for boosted winnings. Max additional winnings $2,500 per bet. Profit boost tokens expire 14 days after receipt. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They've got him, it's a sack!
Sixers.
Oh, baby!
And Flyers.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD. Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
Finally! This is Hanging with Hennig.
I have friends everywhere.
On 97.3 ESPN Radio, South Jersey.
In New Jersey. Am I right? Yeah.
Live feed on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It seems to run on some form of electricity.
Well, you're not wrong.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together.
Now, here's your host.
He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone.
Josh Hennig.
Josh Hennig hanging out with you at Margate Fun Fest down here on Amherst Avenue in Margate. I literally had a gentleman walk up to the table. Didn't say hi, didn't give me his name. I'm putting the headset on, and he said, I'm letting you know tomorrow, Eagles 27-16. He said, you got that? And I said, yeah. He said, A.J. Brown. And then he walked away. I guess that's how Eagle fans roll here in Margate. Josh Hennig hanging out with you live in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios. Less than 25 minutes from now, we will be joined by Jenna Laine. She covers the Bucs for ESPN NFL Nation. She will join us on 97.3 ESPN. We're back in the text board this hour at 609-403-0973. I think Jeff from Ocean City left me a score as well. He says, checking in from Florida. Birds 24, Bucs 20. So we're getting some scores piling in here. I will be with Billy Schweim, the Eagles pregame show tomorrow at La Scala's and Brigantine here on 97.3 ESPN. But today we're over here in Margate for Margate Fun Fest. We got the final hour of the show here. And, of course, don't forget, as always, Hanging with Hennig being brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook, the only sportsbook app with Caesars rewards. Bet on gridiron action, earn perks on every game like hotel stays, bonus bets, game tickets, and more. Download the app using my promo code RADIO20X and place your first bet of $1 or more for your chance to double your winnings on your next 20 bets. Open new users in New Jersey who are 21 or older. Max bet $25 for boosted winnings. Max additional winnings $2,500 per bet. Profit boost. Tokens expire 14 days after receipt. Caesars.com/promos for full terms. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. And, looking at the Eagles games, I talked enough about the Giants. It's at the end of the day. That game's tomorrow. We're going to be watching more so the Eagles-Bucs game. It's the battle of two undefeated teams. And I mentioned this earlier in the show here on 97.3 ESPN. I know that the Eagles, they are 1-4 against the Bucs in the Nick Sirianni era. I'm well aware of that. But I'm also well aware that in 3 of those games, A.J. Brown didn't play. So, contrary to what some people may say, who is on the field matters with who wins the game. What a concept, right? And I think that's why tomorrow's game for me, my keys to the game, brought to you by the Gridiron Pit inside Tropicana, Atlantic City, the ultimate watch and wager experience. Go check it out this weekend for all the football action. My keys to the game comes down to injuries, but it's not injuries to the Eagles. Don't get it twisted. I am not buying this narrative that Nolan Smith's injury is going to grossly impact the Eagles. Because I still believe in Vic Fangio. If Vic Fangio can make adjustments after losing Jalen Carter against the Cowboys and give up 0 points in the second half, I think you'll be fine without Nolan Smith. The Bucs injuries are way more consequential. No, without 2 offensive linemen, starting offensive linemen for the game. No Mike Evans, arguably one of the best wide receivers in football. The Bucs are shorthanded on the O-line and at receiver. And then their quarterback, Baker Mayfield, he has a right biceps issue, quote unquote. Now, I don't know about you guys, but anytime I hear about a quarterback having an issue, quote unquote, with their throwing arm, that might be a problem. So I'm looking at this game as this is more of a problem for Tampa than it is for Philadelphia. Historically, when the Eagles have gone down there and they've lost, it's because guys were injured, guys were suspended, whatever it may be. This case, the Eagles are the healthier team. So, to me, the 3 key matchups for the Eagles and Bucs tomorrow comes down to this. Number 1, the Eagles' defensive line versus the injured Bucs offensive line. Now, the Bucs did get a little bit of good news yesterday, I should say. Tristan Wirfs, he will be playing in the game on Sunday. But that's one guy. It doesn't make up for the fact that Tampa is without 2 of their starting offensive linemen in this game. It doesn't change the reality that you're talking about a Bucs team that is without Mike Evans, a guy who has torched you in past matchups. Now, if you are the Eagles, it comes down to your D-line versus their injured offensive line. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Moro Ajomo, those guys creating a pocket that will make Baker Mayfield, who is already banged up, uncomfortable. I think Philadelphia can wreak havoc in this game. Key number 2. I think Philadelphia needs to have more play action with Jalen Hurts under center. If you go back and watch the All-22 team, I was watching Chase Daniel explain this last night on his YouTube channel. I thought he brought up a great point. When Jalen Hurts is coming out of the play action from under center, and when the Eagles run more run plays under center, it actually allows Jalen Hurts to process what he sees in front of him better. For whatever reason, Jalen has problems at times processing information post-snap when it comes out of the shotgun. Now, I don't know if it's psychological. I don't know if it's overthinking. I tend to think it's overthinking. I think Jalen does overthink a lot of times. But when he has to just play action, 3-step drop, hit his foot, get the ball out, that seems to be when he is at his best. So for me, I look at the Eagles game tomorrow as I want to see more Jalen under center. I want to see Jalen more play action. I want to see Jalen have more opportunities to not hold the ball. I think Jalen and the Eagles get into trouble when he holds the ball and they let these plays take way too long to develop. The quick hitter game. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, ball out of your hand. That's when you have success. That's when you are forcing the defense to now play at your pace instead of their pace. Because again, the longer Jalen holds the ball, now you're playing into what Todd Bowles likes to do against the Eagles. He loves to blitz. He loves to create pressure. He loves to manipulate the quarterback's vision, manipulate his sight lines, manipulate the routes around the team. So for me, I look at this game as an opportunity for the Eagles to maybe change up the offense a little bit. My 3rd key to the game tomorrow. I need, and I mean I need, the Eagles to get to an early lead. I think the game tomorrow is going to come down to, is Philadelphia going to be playing from behind or not? A lot of those losses in Tampa have come because they're playing from behind. They're not because they're playing from ahead. Tampa does not have the offense to consistently come back. And just because they've had 3 straight games where they have come from behind and won on the last drive of the game doesn't mean Tampa's going to do it every single game. And let's be realistic. Jets defense, not as good as the Eagles. Let's just be realistic. We're being honest about this, right? So for me, I look at this game as if you got to an early lead, now you can control the clock. Now you can dictate the terms of engagement. Now the game strategy forces the Bucs to get out of their comfort zone. And let's be realistic. No Mike Evans is a huge detriment for the Bucs offense. And I just don't think Chris Godwin coming back is going to be that big a deal. I just look at Chris Godwin and I see a player who, let's be realistic, Godwin has not played in almost 12 months. Do I really expect him to be 100% in this game tomorrow? I don't. So I think this game is going to really lean on, can the Eagles take advantage of the Bucs injuries? Can the Eagles get an early lead? Can the Eagles dictate the pace of the game? If they do 2 of those 3, I guarantee you they win the game. I'll give you my official pick for the Eagles game a little bit later this hour. I want to check back in on the text board, 609-403-0973. I wanted to get to Steve from Venice, a couple texts coming in. You mentioned about the Phillies earlier. Let me see here. For those who don't know, Steven Ventnor texts like 200 texts, so you got to scroll through to find the original text. He does have a, so here's the Phillies text he had earlier. He says, I would use Sanchez in games 1 and 5 in the NLDS and then advance. And then the NLCS rotation could look like Luzardo and Ranger at home, followed by Sanchez and Nola on the road. That's an interesting one. I don't know if I like that 100% because you're putting Luzardo in a situation where now you're putting extra pressure on him. You want to put him under that kind of pressure. Just a thought. He says, if the Phillies could use Sanchez in Game 5 of the NLDS, just push everyone down one slot in the NLCS, make Ranger the Game 7 starter. Now, I like that idea. If you're forced into a Game 7, I probably think Ranger is probably your best guy in that situation because, as we talked about earlier, he does have ice water in his veins. Definitely a good point there by Steve and Ventnor. I'll get you guys a couple of updates on college football as we are live here at Funfest, Margate, Amherst Avenue. Still no rain. I haven't seen a raindrop. I haven't heard of a raindrop. By the way, I looked at the radar earlier. It looks like whatever the system is passing through is kind of going around us. So let's just keep hoping and praying it keeps doing that. But right now, it looks like we're doing pretty good here. By the way, USC has done absolutely nothing for us today. I mean, they have scored 10 points. We are at halftime. Yeah, we're at halftime. USC is losing 14-10. See, this is where it's like, it's so hard to gauge these teams because coaches might say, oh, going from West Coast to East Coast time, it affects our timing, our body clocks. But, like, how much of that is real and how much of that is coaches just talking? Well, apparently for USC, it's legitimate. Apparently for Oregon, it's legitimate. So, right now, it looks like that pick is not doing too well for us. Again, if you watch the Football Friday show, you would have known that we were staying away from the game. That game we stayed away. That was one of the games we picked last night on the Football Friday show. Every Friday night live on YouTube and X, streaming. We bring you all the football picks for the football weekend. Speaking of the NFL and college football, I think if you were to rank all the games that are not involved in the Eagles this weekend, I think that, because Mike Gill does his Friday 5 every Friday on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN, while the Eagles might be the premier matchup of the weekend, I think the Penn State-Oregon game tonight is arguably one of the 5 biggest football games of the weekend. To me, it's Ravens-Chiefs, but they're big games for 2 completely different reasons. Because while the Eagles are undefeated. The Eagles are well on their way to having another great season. What are the Chiefs and Ravens at this point? They both have losing records. What do you do with that? How am I supposed to evaluate two teams with top 5 quarterbacks who are on teams with losing records? It brings us back to the conversation. When you look at football, how much of it is the quarterback and how much of it is the team around him? I think Lamar Jackson is playing very well this year. Mahomes is having a great year. But the players around them, the defenses they're on, not doing as well. Now, the Chiefs defense way better than the Ravens. And it kind of goes back to when people criticize Jalen Hurts. I have trouble criticizing Hurts purely because of Hurts. Because when you watch the game play out, I always have the question, what is the play caller versus Hurts? Is Hurts changing the play at the line of scrimmage? Is he running with the play they gave him? Number 2, is the receiver running the right route? Everyone who knows more football than me, from Dan Orlovsky to Brian Baldinger to Chase Daniel, they all said this week that there were a couple instances where the receivers did not run the proper route for the Eagles. So why are we blaming Hurts in those situations? Again, we can complain about the aesthetics of the Eagles' offense. But if you're going to complain about the aesthetics of the Eagles' offense, why are we only criticizing the quarterback? If we're only criticizing the quarterback, then we're just being lazy. And if you want to be lazy, that's not what we do here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. Because when you're listening to Merrill Reese and Mike Quick call all the action tomorrow, 1 o'clock kickoff here on 97.3 ESPN, your home for Eagles football in South Jersey, you are going to hear or watch a game where the quarterback is going to have moments where it might not look pretty. But how much of it is the quarterback and how much of it is the receivers, the play caller? Personally, I think Kevin Patullo has only had 2 quarters this entire season that the play calling has been good. We have now accumulated 12 quarters of football for the Philadelphia Eagles. Only 2 of those quarters do I think Kevin Patullo has done a good job. The first quarter against Dallas, and then the fourth quarter against the Rams. Aside from those 2 quarters, I'm wondering, does Kevin Patullo really know what he's doing? Because he's a first-year play caller. He's very inexperienced when it comes to the nuances of the game in terms of being the final final play caller, the final say in those situations. And I'm just very curious to find out, do we believe that Kevin Patullo is going to get better as the year goes on? Or is a game like tomorrow going to be a situation where Todd Bowles is going to take him to the woodshed? Because remember, some of those sacks that Hurts sustained in the game versus the Rams, the offensive line didn't give him anything. I mean, Matt Pryor is the biggest waste. I mean, why was that guy a right tackle in the first place? That he should have been pulled out immediately. There were multiple plays, I counted 4 personally, where Matt Pryor completely failed at his job. So again, we want to blame the Eagles' offense. Drew Brees says it's unappealing. It's not very attractive, right? You know, you have all these people who want to talk smack about the Eagles' offense, but yet you're not talking smack about the play caller. You're not talking smack about the receivers not doing their job. We got to stop blaming the quarterback for everything. It's lazy-minded, and at the end of the day, the team is 1-4 against the Bucs. It's not just Jalen Hurts. We're going to get more into that coming up on the other side as we check in. We head down to Tampa as Jenna Laine is down there. Of course, she covers the Bucs for ESPN NFL Nation. She will join us coming up next here on Hanging with Hennig. Josh Hennig live from Margate Fun Fest on 97.3 ESPN. And don't forget, if you're looking for someone to watch the Eagles game tomorrow, check out my friends over at yesterday's Creekside Tavern on Roosevelt Boulevard in Marmora, where the sound is on for every Eagles game. Don't forget about their nightly food specials Monday through Thursday, starting at 5 p.m. and reverse happy hours 9 p.m. to close. But they have their special game day menu for the Eagles game tomorrow, featuring Miller Lite drafts for $3.50 and Miller Lite pitchers for $12. Don't forget about their buckets of Surfside, Stateside, High Noon, and Sun Cruisers, 6 for $45. And, of course, the food menu includes buffalo chicken nachos, tailgate tray featuring smokehouse sliders, jumbo wings, Philly steak egg rolls, and more. You get it all at yesterday's Creekside Tavern in Marmora. Meet your friends at the Y for the Eagles game tomorrow. Coming up next, more insight on the Eagles versus Bucs game with Jenna Laine from ESPN NFL Nation. Joining me, Josh Hennig, hanging out with you on 97.3 ESPN.
College Football Saturday on ESPN Radio.
This is the best atmosphere.
6th ranked Oregon travels to Happy Valley to face number 3 Penn State in a whiteout game.
We've played in good environments before. They described it as a good one.
It's College Football Saturday on 97.3 ESPN.
College Football Saturday, brought to you by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Coverage begins at 7 p.m.
This football season, catch every game at the best sports bar in South Jersey. Yesterday's Creekside Tavern on Roosevelt Boulevard in Marmora features every Eagles game with the sound on, along with every NFL primetime matchup, as well as the biggest college football games every weekend. Don't miss out on yesterday's nightly food specials starting at 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday, along with reverse happy hour specials 9 p.m. to close each week. Plus, yesterday's Creekside Tavern in Marmora has all the Phillies games with the sound on the TVs for all of September and the can't-miss action of Red October. Yesterday's Creekside Tavern in Marmora is the place to be this football season. So call your friends and catch all the games at the Y.
Looking to lower your energy bills and boost home comfort? South Jersey Gas has you covered with a no-cost in-home, whole-home energy assessment. Our energy expert will review your home's energy efficiency and provide a personalized report of energy-saving improvements. Plus, you may also receive energy-efficient upgrades like faucet aerators, smart power strips, and LED light bulbs at no cost to you. Don't wait to save money and energy. Schedule your whole-home energy assessment today at sjgsaveenergy.com or call 201-690-7897 today.
At Skechers, comfort is a technology. That's right. You don't just make a shoe and hope it comes out comfortable. It takes research, innovations, compounds, engineering, and so much more to feel so comfortable you'd swear you're wearing pillows on your feet. We have features like Skechers Air-Cooled Memory Foam and fits like Relax Fit, Stretch Fit, Wide Fit, Arch Fit, and so many more to make the shoe feel like it was custom-made just for your foot. Plus, we have hands-free Skechers Slip-ins technology. Just step it and go. Find yours at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever comfortable footwear is sold.
Go to get your game on at the Fanatics Sportsbook in the gallery at Ocean Casino Resort. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go where fans become fanatics at the Fanatics Sportsbook in the gallery. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com.
Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Transforming your land with a John Deere compact tractor is as easy as connect, latch, load, haul, spread. Cutting grass is as simple as roll, click, mow. Box blading is as effortless as hook, lock, grade. And backhoeing is as convenient as turn around, switch, dig. Because when you've got the versatility to tackle just about any job and dealer support in your own backyard, you just have to get in the seat. Find the right compact tractor for you at johndeere.com.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Warm up this fall with an incredible seafood boil. Try the Uncle George with succulent snow crabs, tasty mussels, and shrimp. There's the Pete's Feast with 2 pounds of sweet succulent crab legs, a dozen shrimp, clams, and a pound of mussels. Or create your own boil. Add a lobster tail or a delicious Dungeness cluster. Include smoked sausage, corn, and potatoes, served in our tasty broth, made with white wine and our signature seasonings. A shellfish lover's dream at Chickies and Pete's. Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's, the official sports bar of your world champion Philadelphia Eagles. Go where the players go. Come join us all season for Eagles pep rallies, watch parties, and the best in-game experience anywhere. Ice-cold draft beer, world-famous food, and fan-friendly fun for every Eagles game. Every Monday night in South Philly, the Jordan Mailata Show, presented by Miller Lite, followed by Chicky and Pete's Players Lounge with a current player, hosted by Ike Reese and Hugh Douglas. Go where the players go. Chickies and Pete's.
Do Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keep coming back? Tremfya, guselkumab, may help, with rapid remission achieved at 12 weeks and lasting clinical remission at 1 year. Some even saw visible improvement of their intestinal lining at 12 weeks and 1 year. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active Crohn's disease and adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Healing is possible with Tremfya. Approximately 3 out of 10 patients
Jenna,
were in
good?
endoscopic remission at 1 year, based on areas visualized on colonoscopy, which may not represent the deeper
Okay.
bowel layer or entire GI tract. Individual results may vary. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit
I bet.
tremfyaradio.com.
School's back and the savings are bigger than ever at Matt Black.
I saw
Kia's
the
back to
vids.
savings
Look
sales
packed.
with 0 down, 0% APR, and no payments for 90 days. That's right, 0% APR for 48 months on every clearly marked Kia with 0 down and no payments for 90 days. Stuck in a loan or lease? Matt Black Kia wants to get you released. If you have a job clearing $450 a week, we want to get you approved today. And with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy, consider it your hall pass, no questions asked, only at mattblackkia.com. Because when it comes to savings, it's got to be a Matt Black Kia. Call 215-703-8526 for details.
Caesars Sportsbook app is the only sportsbook app with Caesars rewards. Bet on gridiron action and earn perks on every game like hotel stays, bonus bets, game tickets, and more. Download the app using promo code RADIO20X and place your first bet of $1 or more for a chance to double your winnings on your next 20 bets. Open to new users in New Jersey who are 21 or older. Max bet at $25 for boosted winnings. Max additional winnings $2,500 per bet. Profit boost tokens expire 14 days after receipt. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Now back to Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
I don't want them to gain another yard.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
You blitz all night.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Josh Hennig broadcasting live from Margate Fun Fest on the Bay here on Amherst Avenue in Margate. I mean, it's not just the over 110 vendors out here. There's also a ton of people walking up and down here. It's a little windy out here, but it's still a beautiful day here in Margate. And we're going to get back to the Eagles-Bucs conversation right now. We're going to head down to Tampa. Jenna, Laine, she has covered the Bucs for over a decade for ESPN NFL Nation. She knows this team in and out, and she joins us right now to talk more about the Eagles and the Bucs. Of course, we know that Todd Bowles, he is 4-1 against the Eagles at this point. And now we have an interesting matchup because, Jenna, as you know, this is a Bucs team that is way more injured than people realize coming into this matchup. First of all, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Josh. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. So explain to the audience, because I think one of the bigger injury issues coming into this game is the Bucs offensive line. They're going to be down 2 starting O-linemen. I think in the past, it's typically been the Eagles going to Tampa with the injuries, but now it's Tampa having the injuries on the O-line. So talk a little to the audience about what is going on the injury front for Tampa, starting on the O-line.
Yeah, well, the Bucs did get some great news this morning, really yesterday, I should say, because Tristan Wirfs posted about it on his Instagram, a photo of himself with the song Return of the Mac. He went through the motions this week, and we had a pretty good idea that he was playing. But when we saw that, which, by the way, impeccable taste in music, I must say. I'm definitely a 90s girl, so going to have to chat with him some more about that. But getting him back is huge. They're all pro left tackle, the first player in NFL history to be named an all pro at left and right tackle. And he was just recently named the 9th greatest player in franchise history, despite the fact that he's only been with the team since 2020. So that just shows you what they think of him. But they have had to navigate so many injuries across their offensive line. And anytime you play the Philadelphia Eagles, it's always about a battle being won in the trenches. That's what the Bucs have always talked about. So to get him back is going to be huge. And just to give you an idea of the way things have been lately, without Wirfs, they had their starting center, Graham Barton, actually kick out to left tackle, which is where he lined up at Duke. They also had Ben Bredesen, who's typically their left guard. They had him shift over to the center position. They had a practice squad call-up in Luke Haggard last week, who had a difficult time with holding. So did Elijah Klein, who has seen very few reps at the guard position. So it's going to be huge for them. But losing both Luke Gedeke, who was just rewarded a few weeks ago with a contract extension, and then also Cody Mauch, who had a broken leg, it's really been difficult for them with that O-line. And a lot of people have been asking, well, where's the tight end position been in all this passing game? Well, they have had to help guys a lot with chipping and things like that, especially when they're facing the likes of somebody like Danielle Hunter and they're in a 2-minute situation out in Houston. So it's been rough, but not just the offensive line, of course, the wide receiver position too.
And we'll get to the wide receiver position in a minute. I wanted to ask you about Baker because, I know on the injury report they labeled it as a right bicep. And to me, it's less about the actual, specific body part, Jenna. It's more about, anytime it involves a quarterback's arm, it's a little concerning, right? And I know Todd Bowles, you guys talked to him yesterday. He seemed to be pretty positive about Baker. So do you think we are going to see Baker, number one, because he's questionable on the injury report, and number two, how good of a version of Baker do you think we'll see on Sunday?
Yeah, sources say Baker is expected to play tomorrow. So barring any sort of unforeseen setback, he will be out there. And I think what's actually been good about their offensive line injuries, if there is a silver lining to it, it's the fact that their brand new offensive coordinator, Josh Grizzard, has found a way to tinker with the offense based on the personnel that they have. And so we saw, for instance, against the Texans, they weren't even trying to air it out deep because even though they had a healthier offensive line, that was still when they had Malk and Gedeke, although Gedeke came out of that game pretty early. When you go up against a pass rush like that, with just what the Texans bring, you're not going to be able to get those long, deep balls down the field. And so I think that's been good for them. But then also, too, you look at the fact that, the Eagles have had a difficult time stopping the run, averaging 5.1 yards per carry given up. And that's an opportunity for Rachaad White, who's also been terrific in the passing game. And he's showing that he really is a heck of a pass blocker. A lot of people wondering why he's still around with Bucky Irving. Well, I point to that, okay? Bucky Irving's just a few inches taller than me, by the way. That guy's tough as nails, but also Irving, too. And I know we haven't seen much of Sean Tucker, but he also packs just a unique punch, I think, as a running back. And so, even if, I go back to the Carolina game when Baker had really, really sore ribs, and that was kind of an ugly game, but they were able to lean on the ground game quite a bit there. So that certainly is an area that they can help. But Baker, as Grizzard described this week, just tough as nails. And I can personally vouch for that. That guy does whatever it takes to get out there on the field. Didn't throw much this week. That's not the first time they've dealt with injuries with him. Didn't throw much this week, mostly just did handoffs and did individual work, but he was able to do a little bit more Friday.
So with ESPN NFL Nation Bucs reporter Jenna Laine joining us here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM, streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studio. I would be remiss if we didn't touch on Mike Evans. His absence could really loom huge because for the Eagles, it is trending right now that you're not going to have a Dory Jackson. Ja'Cory Bennett, he was put on the injured list. So it's going to be Keely Ringo, who got torched in the preseason out there for the Eagles. So now it looks like no Mike Evans. That might be something that kind of evens this out because we know in the past, Mike Evans, no matter who has been out there for the Eagles, he has had some really big games. But we do have the return of Chris Godwin. So kind of measure for us, what is the state of the Buccaneers receiving core without Mike Evans?
Well, they've also been without Jalen McMillan, who is the guy that lines up on the outside when they have a full cast of characters. So, Chris Godwin mostly lines up in the slot as their big slot receiver. And so, who's going to step up as that big play threat downfield that you talk about? Tez Johnson, he has been a healthy scratch for a game this year, but he's also a guy that I remember watching him in camp. I mean, his speed down the field, he's an electrifying player. And so I'm curious if maybe this could be a breakout opportunity for him. Also, Emeka Egbuka, all three of his touchdowns have come in the slot. And that's where he spent the bulk of the summer kind of practicing, but he learned every position in this receiver group because this guy is as pro ready as it gets. I mean, one of, if not the most pro-ready player I have ever encountered at any position. I kid you not. Just a great head on his shoulders, his ability to absorb so much information, and his physical makeup. I don't think people realize how impressive this guy is until they see him in person. You look at his, just even the lower half of his body, he's built for contact. He's built to be a guy that can, I think, withstand a lot of the hits that guys will take on the inside when they're lining up in the slot like that. But he can certainly play downfield too, and we've seen more of that. But it's going to be interesting because, you have Godwin coming back. The bulk of his career has been spent or at least the best part of his career, I should say, under Bruce Arians, was spent in that slot. That's where we really saw him become this Pro Bowl caliber player. But I got to wonder, would they protect him more by having him on the outside? I think that might be a smarter move. Sterling Shepard has also had the second most receiving yards on this team, even more than Mike Evans, and he has made a living on the slot. So I'm curious how they're going to kind of move those guys around and potentially keep, opposing defenses on their toes. It'll be interesting because, when Evans is out there, teams are rolling coverage his way. Of course, they're starting to have to account a lot more for Ibuka, but I'm really curious to see how this thing is going to go in that aspect.
Yeah, I think what you said about Emeka Ibuka is interesting because my mind went to Brian Hartline, who's the wide receiver coach at Ohio State. He said that Ibuka was the most NFL-ready wide receiver to come out of Ohio State. And it's like, well, they've had like a gazillion guys come out of Ohio State. So Emeka Ibuka is the most NFL-ready. I think it kind of parallels what you were saying about how well he has already performed for the Tampa offense. Let's flip it to the defense. Obviously, that is what people think of most when they think of Tampa with Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles has been very successful against all the Eagles coordinators, right? Whether it was Brian Johnson, Shane Steichen, Nick Sirianni, now it's Kevin Patullo. And I got to tell you, Jenna, for us up here for the Eagles, Kevin Patullo, first time he's ever called play calling, I got to be honest with you. If you go through all 12 quarters of the Eagles offense, I think he's only been good for 2 of those quarters as a play caller. So I'm starting to wonder, is Todd Bowles going to have something a little special for the first-time play caller here?
It'll be very interesting to see. And we've seen different variations of Todd Bowles. In the first half of last week's game, he was blitzing Tyrod Taylor just more than I think Taylor has ever seen in his entire career. But then in the second half of that game, he really backed off of that. Now, I think some of that is just kind of by design. You got to kind of gauge how things are going in the game. I know that Bowles said they took their foot off the gas. The Bucs gave up, 3 touchdowns in the, fourth quarter of the game. One of them was on special teams. But, I'm very curious to see kind of what he was able to learn from that game. Should he have stayed aggressive throughout the whole contest? I had asked him even, did Taylor start to kind of pick up on what you were doing with the blitzes? Obviously, he's a veteran quarterback. He's very smart. Very curious to see what happens there. But no matter what, the Bucs' bread and butter is always about stopping the run. And I know that that's such a big part of what the Eagles do. And I think that's why the Bucs have been one of those teams that regardless of how they finish the season, and as we know, this is a Bucs team that has Super Bowl aspirations, but they have not gotten what the Eagles have. That's what Baker Mayfield longs for. That's what with the guys that weren't here with Tom Brady in 2020, that's what they're longing for. And, that is really just about, being able to stop that run and, force teams to try to beat them through the air. However, they've given up some big plays through the air, and, they've also had slow starts as well, defensively. So, curious to see kind of how that goes. But, I go back to weeks 1 and 2 with the way they gave up touchdowns on the opening drives, explosive touchdowns too, on the opening drives to the Atlanta Falcons, and then also the Houston Texans. They got to get off to faster starts there. Also looking for, inside linebacker Servassier Dennis. He's a guy that they've had really high hopes for, but I think he's kind of shaken off some rust from having not really played in almost 2 full years because he missed almost all of last season. He got injured in week 1 with a shoulder surgery, and he just hasn't seen that much NFL regular season action. We only saw him look really good in training camp the last 2 years, but it's so much different when you're going out there and you have all this responsibility on defense, even though you get to line up to look next to Levante David. That's quite the luxury for anybody. But even so, it's very different than training camp. The NFL regular season, the game speed, it's tough. And in fact, talking to Benjamin Morrison about that, one of their new cornerbacks, a draft pick out of Notre Dame, who they're now rotating in as a third corner, which we haven't seen Todd Bowles do much of before. He has talked about it. Every play in the NFL feels like it's in 2 minutes.
Talking with ESPN NFL Nation, Bucs reporter Jenna Laine, a couple more for her here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. By the way, if you see me keep looking up, apparently after 2 o'clock in Margate is dog hour. So, I feel like everybody's walking their dog right now, right past where I'm standing. So
oh,
I keep
man.
looking up, and it's it might as well be the dog show at this point. There's another one right there.
My ADHD would have such a hard time with that because if I see puppies, I'm not going to lie. They had some kind of a puppy show at a Jacksonville Jaguars game a few years ago with their pool. And I mean, you want to talk about distractions, like that took everything in my power to lock into the game because it was just to my right and I'm looking over and I'm getting the other reporters in on it. And we're just watching these puppies. So puppies, cats, any kind of animals, honestly, bunnies, it doesn't matter. I would have a really difficult time with that. So I applaud your professionalism and ability to lock in. I mean, clearly I probably am not cut out for these 2-minute situations because I would get distracted by something happening, and I get distracted by a promotion or something going on in the stands.
Well, there's a beautiful lab over there. It's just like they're just going up to everybody right now. It's just so cute.
Oh, they're the best
football.
dogs, labs, retrievers. I love dogs. Oh man, yes.
So I got to ask you, because people have been asking me about this, and I kind of have this in my reservoir. I have to ask you. So a lot of people are wondering about Watson, the big defensive lineman. He's currently on the practice squad. Is there any scenario where he gets called up tomorrow and they just tell him to stand out there for the tush push?
No, we talked to Todd Bowles about that, and he said, and that was something that really kind of started in the draft when he was signed after the draft. He was an undrafted free agent and they picked him up. And, of course, this is something that the league has had a really hard time stopping. And Todd Bowles has supported the tush push. Like he's all about trying to find creative solutions to stop it. He applauds its creativity. I think that I'm told that some of the Eagles fans really appreciate that. It doesn't hurt the fact that he is definitely has some Philly roots there, but no, he's really just, they're going to have a really long-term approach with him. They're just pleased that he has gotten to a place of conditioning as far as health condition. They're not giving us a number as far as his weight, which I totally understand that. I'm definitely sensitive to that. But, this was his first week practicing with them. He didn't even practice with them in training camp. And so, he did some good things on the scout team, but obviously getting ready to play in the NFL, a regular season game is completely different. So, while they're certainly hurting at the defensive tackle position, they've lost Kalijah Cansey, two very different style of players there. Cansey is a guy whose game is really predicated on speed and athleticism. And I don't want to draw comparisons to Aaron Donald because I think that's just unfair for anybody, but he is more along those lines versus a kind of a Desmond Watson guy. But they are taking a long-term approach with him, and I'm really excited for him just to get the opportunity to be out there. I know how much this means to him, and I know how hard it's been for him, I think, to just sit there and just watch the team practice. And, he's trying to make lifestyle changes that can stay with him for the rest of his life. And he owes that to himself. We all owe it to ourselves to try to get to a healthy place so we can be around a long time.
Well, maybe when he sees Jordan Davis, because Jordan Davis lost over 30 pounds over the last 18 months.
Wow.
He's in the best shape of his life as a football player, and he was a big boy coming out of Georgia. So maybe Watson and Davis could have a conversation before the game tomorrow.
Yeah, well, Vita Vea as well. That's something that Desmond Watson, he's definitely leaned on him a little bit as far as that goes, because Vita Vea also came in. I talked to one team that had Vea in for a pre-draft visit, and they weighed him in at I think 364. He was a big guy. He does not play at that weight though now. And each year he comes in and he's looking healthier. And, it's about longevity too. It's not just, playing speed and things like that and stamina out on the field. It's to keep the body, injury free and be able to recover. If you've got a lot of inflammation floating throughout your body, it's really tough to bounce back from injuries, and it puts a lot more weight on your joints. And of course, heart health too. You got to talk about that. That's the bigger your body is, the more your organs have to work to pump blood throughout the body.
Yeah, there's a point that Jordan Davis reports that he was about 370, 375 a couple of years ago.
Wow.
So the fact that he's now down around 330, and he made the joke at camp this year, Jenna, that he said he got tired of having a fat neck. So apparently,
so many of these guys do. You look at pictures of former players, and that's always the first thing that jumps out, especially guys that, you see them regularly, on television when their playing years are up. And I always go back and I'm always like, man, because they do neck strengthening exercises as well to make their neck, which is very smart because, I go back to Jalen McMillan. Obviously, he's not a defensive player, but if he wouldn't, I think, have had the neck strength that he had, he could have been potentially paralyzed. So that's super important. But I would tell the general public, as far as athlete weight loss, one thing is that I think we have kind of trivialized like just how hard it is for people to lose weight, because nowadays you have the benefit of things like GLP-1s. You really can't use those as an athlete because, the World Anti-Doping Agency, that's what they're eyeing right now as far as performance enhancement. And athletes, you really can run the risk of dehydration if you use them. If it's allowed, you run the risk of dehydration. It can also affect things like bone density. It can affect your muscle mass. Those aren't things that athletes want. And so for them, it's not as easy as some of the other folks at home are kind of doing, where they can just go see their primary care doctor. And look, I'm never going to trivialize weight loss at all, because I think it's a challenge for people in general. But athletes don't always have the amount of tools. They don't always have access to things like the peptides and the hormones that the rest of the general population do, because it can be viewed as performance enhancement. And the NFL is very strict when it comes to performance enhancement drugs.
And as they should be, considering, as you mentioned, the health consequences of some of these different prescriptions and applications of them out there. I would be remiss if I didn't backtrack, because you mentioned about Todd Bowles, his connection to Philadelphia in the past, before I let you go. It really feels like, from the outside looking in, you could explain it to the audience and myself, that Bowles has really found a home in Tampa. After the Jets and the Dolphins, those situations didn't work out maybe the way he had hoped and his organizations had hoped. It really feels like there is a really good relational connection between Todd Bowles, Jason Licht, and the entire organization.
I go back to Bruce Arians, who's obviously another guy with Temple connections. And Temple really is what forged so many of the connections on both Bruce's staff and then the staff that Todd has right now. Obviously it's changed, but there's still some guys that have remained on there. But look, Bruce came in 2019 and got this thing to become a well-oiled machine. That was when I really saw, a lot of teams have this wall built up between the scouting department and the front office. And sometimes the guys that are brought in by the scouts aren't really being properly developed by the coaching staff. Bruce was adamant about tearing down that wall and making sure that they work together synergistically. And I give Jason Licht a lot of credit too, because I think that there were guys that maybe he would want to bring in, but he would defer to Bruce on a lot of this. And, I think, and Jason is a guy who also has a connection with the Eagles too. He had spent some time with the Eagles front office. But I think kind of having that egoless leadership as a general manager and, deferring sometimes to the head coach and what he wants and giving him what he wants, I think is really important. I mean, they did the same thing with Tom Brady as well. And so by the time Bruce retired, like he didn't want to put Todd to a bad situation, right? And that's what makes it so hard for first-time head coaches to succeed, or even, I shouldn't say first time because it wasn't Todd's first time, but just when you're coming in as a new head coach, that's what makes it so difficult. I go back to Aaron Glenn and I think he's going to be a terrific head coach. I do. And I obviously, I've shown that I'm a big fan of his with all my celebration videos that I posted on X. I've gotten such a kick out of I love coaches that get excited. I love authentic coaches and I'll get to that in a moment. But Bruce, it was important to him that if he was going to retire, he was going to do it when the time was right. And when this team was in a good position. And we knew that this was going to be the plan, that Bowles would take over for him. And, Todd isn't Bruce. He has his own way of doing things. He's not, he's going to lean a little bit more on the defense. But I think the biggest thing I can say about Tampa and why it's worked for Bruce and why it's worked for Todd and also why it's worked for Baker and why he's found a home is what Baker said about the Bucs allowed me to be myself. And I think it's the same with Todd. I even go to kind of our media interaction with Todd and I go back and look at the press conferences in New York. I'm not going to say that Tampa were just a bunch of retirees that are just laid back. I mean, we take our jobs really seriously, but I think the communication style is a little different between, Floridians and New Yorkers, even though we have many transplants. And I shouldn't even just say New Yorkers. I think Philly, the media market, those northern cities, I think the way the interaction is a little different. I know sometimes people even ask if I'm from up north because I can be a little direct in my questions, but I just think that, continuity is so big with an organization when you have a GM that's been in place for so long, a scouting department that's been in place for so long. You look at the fact that you have people in the scouting department that have gone on to get jobs. You also have coaches that have gone on to get head coaching jobs. I think that that's really big. And when you have that kind of foundation there, it allows other people to come in and be themselves. I even go to Shiloh Sanders. I know he's not on the roster anymore. He was there during camp. The Bucs had no problem with the fact that he had so many autograph seekers and so many people. They even promoted some of his little, food excursions that he would go on to test out some of the hot, food spots. Right. And so I think it's become this team that just kind of embraces, people's individuality and who they are. And I think, I go back to something Arians had told me. The worst thing that you could be as a coach is inauthentic, and you think about it, football players, it is a game predicated on instinct. And these are people who study the movements of people. They're so in tune with body language. They can instantly detect if somebody is BSing them. And the worst thing you can do as a coach is to BS your players. In order for them to follow you and to run through a brick wall for you, they need to know that you're being straight with them. You're being honest. Todd has a different style too. He's not going to throw them under the bus to the media. He's going to protect them with the media, which, sometimes that can make our jobs trickier, but behind closed doors, he's got a way of, coming down hard on the players. It's not the MFers that we heard from Arians. It's more of a sarcastic style, but it works. It works. And again, every coach is different. Tony Dungy was not this really demonstrative. He certainly wasn't an Aaron Glenn, and he certainly didn't drop any curse words, but he got the job done. So I think there's multiple ways that you can be a really effective head coach. It's really about just being yourself.
Excellent insights from ESPN NFL Nation reporter Jenna Laine, covering the Bucs for over a decade for ESPN. And she joined us right here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. Jenna, really appreciate you jumping on. Great stuff today. We'll talk soon.
Thanks so much. And I'm sure tomorrow's going to be a great one. Can't wait.
Absolutely. Tomorrow's going to be a great game. Of course, you can hear all the action. Merrill Reese quick calling the game right here in your home for Eagles football in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig at Margate Fun Fest down here on the Bay in Margate. We'll wrap up the show. Coming up next, my pick for the Eagles. Bucs game tomorrow is next on 97.3 ESPN. Streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studio.
This is South Jersey's official
Clear.
home for Philadelphia Eagles football. Tomorrow, the Birds head down to Tampa to take on the Buccaneers in Week 4.
1st and 10 Bucs up across the 40. Mayfield back, dancing around. He is sacked back at the 30.
Pre-game coverage begins at noon. Merrill and Mike call all the action starting at 1 p.m. This is where the Super Bowl champs play. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's official Eagles station.
Get ready to level up your game day at Tropicana Atlantic City. Introducing Gridiron Pit, powered by Caesars Sportsbook, a high-energy fan zone where blackjack meets big screens, bold bites, and big wins. Play your hand, catch every snap, indulge in tailgate-inspired food and drinks, and spin the big wheel of prizes. Every Saturday and Sunday throughout football season, Gridiron Pit, where the thrill of the game meets the rush of the table. Located near the cashier cage. Learn more at Caesars.com. Must be 21 or older. Know when to stop before you start. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Change is always happening. It's part of life. And when it comes to music, change is all around us. Songs are rewritten. Classics are remixed. Bands and artists come and go. Even our taste in music changes. Here at Xfinity, we know there's still good in keeping some things the same. That's why we want to do our part with a 5-year price guarantee on our internet. It means no matter what changes, you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best equipment included for a price that stays exactly the same. Surprised? Life is full of them. One internet price, 5 years, guaranteed. Learn more at xfinity.com/deals. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024.
Hi, I'm Chef Franklin Becker. You know the jingle. Now discover the facts about Ozempic, a GLP-1. There's only one FDA-approved Ozempic made by Novo Nordisk. Learn about the real thing.
Talk to your healthcare professional today. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and to learn more about Ozempic. Semaglutide injection 0.5, 1, and 2 milligrams.
Bet Sportsbook. Yo, Ballybet stacked for football season. When it comes to sportsbook apps, it's undefeated. Ballybet. Check out that brand new parlay zone. Here's the kickoff. Build your bets and place them right on your phone. What? Live bets, daily boosts, and promos. Increase your odds so you can win more dough. Touchdown! Ballybet's the play. Make game day more fun and download it today. Must be 21 plus and present in New Jersey. See site for full terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966. Ballybet, Sportsbook and Casino.
Download it. Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your RV, RV wins.
What, are you going to take the RV to the mountains or go pick up your dry cleaning?
RV wins!
Are we cleaning the gutters or taking the RV camping?
RV wins!
Are we getting a new passport or cruising up the coast?
RV wins!
Don't forget, you got that trip to Sweden coming up.
Oh, yeah, passport, then RV.
With Progressive, you can bundle your RV with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings in your RV. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states and situations.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Warm up this fall with an incredible seafood boil. Try the Uncle George with succulent snow crabs, tasty mussels, and shrimp. There's the Pete's Feast with 2 pounds of sweet succulent crab legs, a dozen shrimp, clams, and a pound of mussels. Or create your own boil. Add a lobster tail or a delicious Dungeness cluster. Include smoked sausage, corn, and potatoes, served in our tasty broth, made with white wine and our signature seasonings. A shellfish lover's dream at Chickies and Pete's. Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's, the official sports bar of your world champion Philadelphia Eagles. Go where the players go. Come join us all season for Eagles pep rallies, watch parties, and the best in-game experience anywhere. Ice cold draft beer, world famous food, and fan-friendly fun for every Eagles game. Every Monday night in South Philly, the Jordan Mailata Show, presented by Miller Lite, followed by Chicky and Pete's Players Lounge with a current player, hosted by Ike Reese and Hugh Douglas. Go where the players go. Chickies and Pete's.
With GMF financing to qualify buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales.
Get to Bennett Chevrolet's Red Hot Clear the Lot Inventory Blowout and get your new vehicle at the true GM supplier employee price. Plus, at Bennett, you keep all the rebates, saving you up to 20%. Yes, savings up to 20%. What other dealer will give you an offer like this? Nobody. That's who. Get to Bennett now and save more with available 0% financing. How does Bennett do it? Come check us out. And if you're looking for used, Bennett will give you a minimum $10,000 off. Yes, you'll get at least $10,000 off for your leaky, rusted out junk. What do you think Bennett pays for good trades? Come on, get here now during our Red Hot Clear the Lot blowout. It only happens once a year, so get here while selection is best. Plus, there's never any pressure with our non-commissioned sales staff. Paid on your satisfaction. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Caesars Sportsbook app is the only sportsbook app with Caesars rewards. Bet on gridiron action and earn perks on every game like hotel stays, bonus bets, game tickets, and more. Download the app using promo code RADIO20X and place your first bet of $1 or more for a chance to double your winnings on your next 20 bets. Open to new users in New Jersey who are 21 or older. Max bet at $25 for boosted winnings. Max additional winnings $2,500 per bet. Profit boost tokens expire 14 days after receipt. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Now back to Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
Who is right? You are an ox and a moron.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Hello? Get back in the room.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
All right, we are wrapping up here over at Margate Funfest. Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. Analyst hanging Hennig in the books. Eagles game tomorrow. My prediction. My projected score originally. Let me just double check my paper. I should have checked this in the break, but I didn't. I got the Eagles winning 22-20. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think Todd Bowles wins the first half, but the Eagles win the game because they make adjustments in the second half. I think that the game ball tomorrow is going to go to Dallas Goddard. I think Goddard's going to have a good game tomorrow. Thanks again to Jenna Laine from ESPN for joining us. Thanks to Nick Earnshaw back in the studio. Great stuff from Andy McNamara as well. And, of course, 1992 Heisman Trophy winner Gino Torretta all join me here on Hang with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN.
This Sunday morning, the Locker Room crew will be back broadcasting
Clear.
live at Lascala's Beach House in Brigantine for our Eagles pregame show. Join me, Mr.
No
Negative,
prob.
PJ
Talk soon,
Porter,
buddy.
former Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Dave Klemic, and Josh Hennig as we get you ready for the Eagles-Bucs game. We'll get the keys to the game with Fox 29 News sports anchor Scott Grayson, brought to you by Blitz's Market. Hour 2, my fantasy football guru Brian Hartley checks in, brought to you by Charlie's Bar. It's the Locker Room with Billy Schwein, live from Lascala's Beach House in Brigantine, Sunday morning from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN.